All right, let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kiorkof, and welcome to our Kickoff with Kiorkof live stream Sunday morning here for week one, helping you set your lineups. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning. Good morning to all of you. Okay, so immediately to the right of me, as you can see, like we do every single Sunday morning throughout the season, we have updated rankings. Okay, so what exactly are we updating for? First and foremost, J.K. Dobbins will not be playing this week. Therefore, I have moved Mike Davis up my rankings list. You can see that to the right of me. There's also other information regarding George Kittle. He's not going to probably play today. He's gone. I know many of you in the chat asked about Zach Ertz and whether or not he's going to be active. He is going to be playing. If, in fact, Zach Ertz is active, which he's going to be, that gives me enough confidence that they believe that it's not an injury that is going to potentially hamper him in this game or be re-aggravated in any capacity. So they feel confident enough to throw him out there in week one at, going into his 10th year. Then by all means, I feel confident enough in a shootout to have him in my lineup. Also, other pieces of information, specifically ones that we talked about yesterday. The Green Bay Packers offensive tackles, both Bakhtiari and Jenkins, are both out. So I've gone ahead and subsequently dipped the ranks just slightly of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. It is going to hurt them because their two starting tackles are out, and that would hurt any single offense in the league. Nonetheless, it hasn't really killed their value. They're still startable options, but in comparison to yesterday, it has taken a little bit of a dip considering we have that information now available to us. So again, the information to the right of me, half PPR rankings, updated as of this morning, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. This excludes all the players that played on Thursday, which are Rams and Bills. Now, I know many of you send in donations in order to get your questions answered because, again, there's only one of me and a lot of you. Remember that if you're going to send in a question, just like it says right above my head right here, questions must include scoring format. So if you play at a half PPR, at least please mention either 0.5 or half in your question. If you play in a full, just, mention PPR or full. And if you play in a standard league, standard works. Or STND, something like that, stand. Okay, cool. That pretty much settles all the announcements I wanted to make first and foremost. If anything informationally comes out as to somebody being inactive, we'll figure it out. But as of right now, everything that I'm seeing is that Chris Godwin is expected to play. Michael Thomas is expected to play. Drake London is expected to play. The only one of those three receivers that I just mentioned that is not on my list right now is Drake London because he's just right off of it. Even though there is an expectation for Michael Thomas and Chris Godwin to both play, I have them ranked all the way at the bottom of that top 36 list right there you can see on screen. Sitting at 35 and 36 because, again, if you're going to play limited, you're going to practice limited all week. In the case of Michael Thomas with a hamstring, I'm worried about you. And then Chris Godwin practiced the entire week with a non-contact jersey on. So I don't know why they're playing him, but so be it. We have to play with we have to proceed with caution. Let's just put it that way. Okay, awesome. Let's get into this, shall we? Beginning to answer some questions that y'all are sending in to my direction. Let me go ahead and let's move this over here and let's get to answering, shall we? What is this? I can keep getting updates. What is going on here? Okay, we'll see about that. All right, here we go. Crypt Keeper sends in a donation. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. Let's get into this. PPR Superflex, Matty Ice, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Really? So you're considering playing Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of a quarterback in a Superflex? I would suggest that you play that quarterback, especially considering you have Matty Ice. They take on Houston. It's a walk in the park of a matchup. So, yeah. You should probably be playing both your quarterbacks in that regard. Don't bench a quarterback in a Superflex league. Even if you had Baker, I would tell you to play Baker ahead of a wide receiver in a Superflex format. Let's see here. Justin sends a donation, says, I know you have Cooks over Elijah Moore, but is it but am I crazy for wanting to start Moore over Cooks for this matchup? No, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility where Elijah Moore could score more points. I think it's definitely, in the conversation. As of right now, I feel more confident with Cooks because I have a baseline understanding as to what kind of utilization he's going to get. We've only seen one game with Elijah Moore, with Joe Flacco. But like I mentioned yesterday on our live stream that we had here on the channel, Joe Flacco, in the last 5 games that he started for the New York Jets, he has always targeted a single wide receiver 8 or more times, and he's always had that primary receiver have over 62 receiving yards. So we're believing that Elijah Moore is going to be in that conversation of being a decent play this week. 5 catches, 62 yards. We're going to be in that realm. But any sort of upside in terms of touchdowns, that's the biggest question mark. And that's why I kind of lean in the direction of Brandon Cooks, because I'm thinking he's probably in line for similar numbers, but may have more touchdown upside in that regard. But either way, if you want to play more over Cooks, I don't blame you. All right, Michael Myers sends in a donation. Says Deontay Johnson or Michael Carter in a half PPR. I would play Deontay Johnson. Now, in terms of a couple questions regarding Deontay Johnson, just kind of surrounding him. As of this moment, he's coming off a shoulder injury. There is a possibility in which the shoulder injury could be re-aggravated if he falls on it the wrong way, gets tackled the wrong way, etc. We know Deontay Johnson, he has, hurt many of us in the past, specifically in 2020, where he would play games and get hurt and leave. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, because this is not, a hamstring injury or a quad injury. This is, a shoulder. So we're gonna hope. We're gonna play it as is. I still expect him to be good. I know someone in the chat just mentioned the weather concerns. So as of right now, there are only 2 games in which weather concerns are kind of brought forth. The first one being the 49ers taking on the Chicago Bears this afternoon. There's a 65% chance of rain. The weather over there is like 69, 70 degrees. Again, I've always been someone that weather games don't really bother me until the wind gets to a certain point. Rain, yes, it plays a factor, but it isn't going to make that big of a difference in terms of me changing my rankings. So I've kind of adjusted and placed it as such. So I've already taken that into account. The other game, if I'm not mistaken, that has weather implications is also Jacksonville taking on the Washington Commanders. So that's going to be played in Washington. I think, let me go check that. That has a 40% chance of rain. Again, both those teams are run heavy anyway, but I'm not too worried about Christian Kirk or Terry McLaurin in those regards either. I think they'll still be both fine. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. Jesse had sent in a donation. Thank you very much, Jesse. Let me see where your question kind of figured itself out. What the heck is that? All right, so let me check some things here. I gotta update this because your message was not attached to the donation, so I'm gonna see if I can go and find that. Hopefully, I'll be able to. Okay, so Eric sent in a donation first and foremost. So now I found Eric's donation. Okay, so Eric started off today. It wasn't in my system, but now I found it. Eric Foreman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You were asking, start Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers? Purely, I'd rather play Kirk Cousins. Obviously, with the information that we have now privy to us regarding the right and left tackle for the Green Bay Packers both being out, that certainly doesn't help the argument for trying to start Aaron Rodgers in that regard. He may still have a great game, but I think you're in a far safer position playing with Kirk Cousins under center and having him as your starting quarterback. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Jesse, where the heck did your question go? I cannot find it. Jesse. Okay, so there's Jesse, and then he says PPR, and then where's your question, my guy? Jesse, if you could do me a favor, type into the chat. That'd be greatly appreciated. At that point, we can go ahead and answer your question. Until then, I'm going to move on to Morph. Morph says, I need one for the flex. We have Godwin, we have Woods, we have Myers, Pickens, AJ Green, full PPR. All right, as of right now, according to my full PPR rankings that I'm looking at, if I look towards them right now, I have Chris Godwin ahead of AJ Green. But I have both of them behind. What was the question exactly? I'm pretty sure you mentioned Robert Woods. Yeah, Robert Woods would take the starting spot there. So I'd play Woods out of your potential options there, more. Appreciate it. Charles T, thank you very much for the donation. Let me see. Did Jesse send in a donation? Okay, there's Jesse's question. Okay, let's get to Charles, and we'll get to Jesse in a minute. All right, so Charles says, half PPR. I need one flex. We have Breece Hall, Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, JK, and Devonta Smith. Like I mentioned a little bit prior, guys, J.K. Dobbins is not going to be playing today. Make sure he is out of your lineups, please, and thank you. Out of the available options that you mentioned, Charles, I would be most comfortable playing Elijah Moore, then Kadarius Toney, Those are your best two options. I would prefer more in that regard in a half PPR, so that's what my suggestion is going to be. Thank you. All right, so Jesse's question was in a PPR, starting Hurts, Travis Etienne, Austin. Okay, yep. Brandon Cooks. And my bench is Elliott, Godwin, Christian Kirk, George Pickens, Tony. Should I move anything or leave it as? Yeah, I would just leave it as such. AJ Brown and Brandon Cooks are your best two potential options there for that flex spot. So yeah, I would leave it as such. You're good to go there, Jesse. Appreciate it. All right, Rios sends in a question. It says Damian Harris, Damian Pierce, or M. Brown. Is that Marquise Brown? I'm going to assume that's Marquise Hollywood Brown. If that's the case, I would probably play Marquise Hollywood Brown this week. I feel more comfortable in that line because I'm thinking to myself, if Damian Harris doesn't find himself in the end zone, I know last season he scored 15 of them, but if he doesn't end up finding the end zone tonight or later today, goodness, I would probably feel far more comfortable with the yardage that Marquise Brown can rack up rather than him in a standard league. So I'm going to go Marquise Brown there. Thank you. Arthur sends in a donation. PPR flex. Devontae, so I'm assuming that's Devonta Smith, Michael Thomas, Breece Hall, Ramondre Stevenson, or Marquez Valdez-Scantling. All right, so as of right now in a PPR scoring format, let's go ahead. I've got Michael Thomas just ahead of Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is literally the first wide receiver off the screen. So he's my number 37 in a full PPR. So that would be my suggestion. I'd roll with Michael Thomas in that regard. Now, in terms of, I would just, do I want to play Ramondre? Let me check here real quick. Where do I have Ramondre in association with Michael Thomas? Yeah, I have Michael Thomas ahead of Ramondre. So that's what I'm going to roll with in a PPR. Let's go Michael Thomas. Kyle says, flex advice, ETN or Bateman? And you have Lamar in your lineup. I'm still going to play ETN there. If what Akers presented to us the other night is anything of an indication as to what James Robinson may show today, I would like to play the running back against the Washington Commanders. So I like the idea of rolling with ETN there, Kyle. Thank you. Gucci Han, Louis Han says, my guy, full PPR, welcome back. Nice to see you. We got to pick two out of the available options. Okay, we have Elijah Mitchell and both New England running backs and A.J. Dillon. Okay, so Elijah Mitchell, in my opinion, gets the primary start there. And then the next player in line in a full PPR, I'm pretty sure I have Damian Harris ahead of him, but let me confirm this. Where are we at? Damian Harris. Yeah, I have Damian Harris ahead of him. So I would play Harris and Elijah Mitchell there. Thank you. All right, Clinton Johnson says, full PPR, Pickens or Chris Olave? I'd rather play Chris Olave this week. Thank you. Anthony Barrett, I need a defense. Miami, Browns, Patriots, Eagles, or Bengals. As of right now, let's go ahead and look at the defensive rankings. We have the Miami Dolphins at 7, and we have Cincinnati at 8, and Philadelphia at 9. So literally 3 of the potential options you mentioned, and we have Patriots at 11. So as of right now, Miami would be the defense that I'd roll with. I have Cleveland at 12. So yeah, right now it would go Miami, Cincinnati, Eagles, Patriots, Browns. So Miami's the suggestion in that regard. Jaden Molina sends in a question. Full PPR, Brandon Cooks or David Montgomery? I'm fairly certain. Let's see here. What the heck do I have in my top flex list? Where is David Montgomery? David Montgomery, it's funny enough. This is why I even had to check. David Montgomery is my number 41, and Brandon Cooks is my number 42 on full PPR. So I'm going with Montgomery there. It's literally identical right next to each other, but I think Montgomery's receiving yards or receptions in general, not even the yardage, will kind of close the gap and give him a little bit of an edge there. Okay, here we go. Now my list updated. Okay, Call of Duty says, Josh Jacobs or Cortland Sutton in a full PPR. As of right now, let's see here. What are we at? I'd love to just rip it off the top of my head and just say it, but I got to confirm it before I even let you guys know. Yeah, it's Cortland Sutton. All right, Cortland Sutton ahead of Josh Jacobs there. Thank you. All right, what do we have here? We have Dom with a question. Let's see, Dom. Where are you? Because your question did not have, or your donation did not have a question attached to it. So let me see what I can do for you here, bud. Okay, you send in another one later. All right, Dom, thank you very much. It says, hey, good to see you again. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining me this afternoon or this morning. For some of you, it's the afternoon almost. There's 1,000 of you in here. Listen, there's only 140 likes. We got updated rankings to the right of me on screen as of this morning, which takes into account George Kittle out, Zach Ertz in, J.K. Dobbins out. Be sure to smash that like button, guys. Come on, it only helps. The channel takes you literally zero effort. I'm trying to help as best as I possibly can. So do me a favor, click that like button. Greatly appreciate it. All right, so Dom's asking, I need a safe floor in a PPR. Do I go Hall or Godwin? I mean, if I'm picking between the two in a full PPR scoring format, I'd rather just play Godwin. And that seems rough, but if they feel confident enough to play him tonight, even though they don't have to, then I feel confident enough having him out there, especially in comparison to Hall taking on the Baltimore defense. Now, it's not to say that Hall is not capable of having a decent game and getting that contest. He certainly is capable. It's just it's relatively unlikely, especially considering the running back rotation that they're going to be exhibiting. All right, to the Max sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Full PPR, flex Bateman, Edmonds, Godwin. If I'm picking one, I'm fairly certain it's Edmonds. Let me confirm this. Where's my full PPR list? Edmonds, where's Mr. Bateman? Yep, Edmonds ahead of Bateman and Godwin. That's where I'm going there. Alex, thank you very much. Says, played Knox against my opponent who had Gabriel Davis. Standard league, Mike Williams, Sutton, A.J. Dillon in the flex position. Okay, so if I'm picking one for the flex in a standard, I play Mike Williams there. And in your other league in a half PPR, Zeke, Godwin, or Edmonds, and then you also have Dameon Pierce. I'd play Edmonds over the gang there. Thank you very much, Alex. Appreciate it. Lenny V23 says, Cordero Patterson or Brandon Cooks as they start in my flex position. I'd rather have Brandon Cooks there. Thank you. Luke O'Reilly, full PPR, says start two. We have Jacobs, Sutton, and Elijah Moore. I'd play Jacobs and Sutton. Thank you. We got the Dom's question. AO Royale says, Christian Kirk or Elijah Moore in a full PPR? I'm going Elijah Moore this week, guys. I think Christian Kirk is still going to be a viable option in a full PPR scoring format based on just how the offense functions and how much they utilize, the entire group of receivers there. They're going to be I'm assuming they're going to run the ball a decent amount, but they're also going to be relatively pass heavy. You've got a young quarterback there that needs to prove himself, so hopefully let it rip with him. Doug Peterson has been known to be the quarterback whisperer of sorts. I mean, he's elevated Carson Wentz to MVP-like levels, so hopefully we're able to see glimpses of that today. And Christian Kirk's going to be the primary receiver. We know that for sure. Team Zero Gaming says, start James Conner or Jalen Waddle. Okay, considering we don't have a scoring format for the matter, I'm just going to go off of a half PPR like it would be on screen. Between the two, I would rather play James Conner. Thank you. Kai Tom says Pickens, Gage, Dotson, full PPR. Between those three options, I'd rather play Pickens over the other two. To the Max says Edmonds or Ramondre Stevenson, Thielen, and then we also have Sutton. Of that group, I'd rather play Sutton over all of them. Thank you very much to the Max. Jordan Reynolds says Cooks, Bateman, Elijah Moore in the flex, full PPR. I feel like Bateman versus Sauce. Reed is better than Cooks versus Gilmore, Kenny Moore, etc. Thoughts? We have... Yeah, listen. I understand that the Indianapolis Colts matchup isn't as favorable, but I can assure you that there are going to be many of circumstances that Brandon Cooks is against bad matchups per se, against tough cornerbacks, and he still finds success. From what we saw with him and Davis Mills last year, in the games that they played together, with neither of them, or specifically Davis Mills being the starting quarterback, and him not leaving the game early with an injury, and also vice versa with Brandon Cooks not leaving the game early. He was averaging 9 targets per game together. So if we're going to get something in that realm of possibility, considering it's also a negative game script, defenses are going to play a little bit more lax. I'm assuming that Brandon Cooks is going to be the better option. That's going to continue to be my suggestion there over the two other options you have there, Jordan Reynolds. Thank you. Chris Kelly says full PPR, flex Judy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Dameon Pierce. I would play in a full PPR Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's my suggestion there. Let's see here. Beatty sends in a question. Says Damian Harris or Robert Woods in a half PPR. I'd rather play Damian Harris this week. If it was a full PPR, I would consider the option of Robert Woods, but in a half, considering there's more reliance of that touchdown upside or the yardage upside there, the receptions aren't as big of a difference. I would just go with the primary starting running back of New England there. Steven Hensley says full PPR. Start Gibson over McLaurin in the rain. Yes. Yeah, I would. I'd play Gibson there. Thank you. Carson says full PPR. Zeke, Elliott, Cortland Sutton, Chase Edmonds. I'm playing Cortland Sutton this week. Thank you. Joel Barron says Ertz or Tanyan. Okay, so again, I feel relatively comfortable right now, considering the fact that Ertz is going to be active, that they're going to use him the right way, and they're not going to just move him out there just to be a decoy. Now, there's a possibility that we may see that, right? We're not privy to what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do today. He might just move Ertz out there and use him as a decoy the whole time. We just don't know that. But for right now, of the available tight ends that I have ranked on screen, I mean, again, I have Robert Tonyan at 16. I feel confident enough with Zach Ertz that if he's playing, and especially against, the Chiefs, it should be a higher scoring matchup, or at least a negative game script for the Cardinals to where they're throwing the ball heavily. I'd play Ertz. If you feel comfortable just riding with Robert Tonyan, you're good to go there. I still think Robert Tonyan, the whole issue with him is he's very much so similar to Dawson Knox, to Hunter Henry, to some of these other tight ends where they have to score a touchdown. The yardage is not going to be enough for them to get you over the hump in terms of what you're expecting. All right, thank you very much. TD says, full PPR, flex, Antonio Gibson or Jalen Waddle? I'd rather play Antonio Gibson right now. Thank you. Let's see here. Just a reminder, okay? Because about 1,300 of you here. I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning. As of right now, to the right of me on screen, we have updated rankings in a half PPR scoring sense. Okay, these are top 36 running backs, including the little bit of a notch down from both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, considering their starting right and left tackle are not going to be active today. We also have J.K. Dobbins off the list. We've moved Mike Davis up on the list because he is going to be the primary starting back versus a Jets defense. That could be a viable option, like we talked about on Friday during our must-start video. Could be an option which you may be, reconsidering if, in fact, you were a J.K. Dobbins manager. We've also taken into account the fact that Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, they're going to be active today, but at what capacity? We have them lower on the list because we're kind of sitting in a position where we're not as comfortable starting them, considering the fact that they have been limited. Again, Chris Godwin practicing all week in a non-contact jersey does make me a little bit weary on, making him a definite start in comparison to the other available options we have. So if you guys want, in about, probably like 30 more minutes into the stream, I'll start mentioning some of the players that are after Chris Godwin that are like on the cusp. Like right now, I have like Devonta Smith, I have AJ Green, Tyler Lockett, I have Chris Olave, Drake London, Sammy Watkins, all in that same kind of range where it's like if I had to pick and it's one of those available options, I'm okay with any of them if, in fact, you're worried about the Chris Godwin situation. Okay. Moving on. Nel Santiago, nice to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. PPR, you need two. We have Elijah Moore, we have Metcalf, and we have Dillon. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm relatively comfortable going with both those receiving options. Let me confirm this. Where we have Dillon. Dillon's right here. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to play both those receivers, Moore and Metcalf over Dillon this week in a full PPR. D-Boy Furious 7 says pick two in a full PPR. Both are flex positions. We have Etienne, Deontay Johnson, Judy, Hunt, and Stevenson. Etienne gets the start. Deontay Johnson gets the start. That's my suggestion. Thank you. Sergio Soto says, in the flex, do I start Elijah Mitchell or Hunter Renfrow? I'd play Elijah Mitchell. If, in fact, this is going to be a game where there's no Kittle. The running game is going to be a little bit less efficient. They have their starting center. I forget his last name. Brunskill? Something like that. He's going to be out. They're going to have to run a lot of outside zone, and that's exactly what they do very well. You run outside zone to McGlinchey, or you run outside zone towards, they're the best left tackle in the league. So, in my opinion, I think Elijah Mitchell will be perfectly fine. Hunter Renfrow, we kind of want to wait and see what exactly they are capable of kind of putting together there in that offense. How much utilization, how much opportunity he's going to see. So right now, I'm just going to play Mitchell in an advantageous matchup. Matt sends in a donation. Matt Pilari says, is it worth the pickup of Davis with Patterson on the bench? Worth the pickup Davis with Patterson on the bench. Yeah, if you're going to not start Patterson to play Davis, I'd be okay with that. That would be my suggestion. I'm perfectly fine with that because I'd rather play the player that's going against the Jets than a running back that's going up against the New Orleans Saints, because we know that, the Saints are one of the better run-stopping defenses. But if you're dropping Patterson for Davis, I would probably lean towards not doing that, because I think in the long term, Patterson is going to have value. It's just this week's matchup that kind of nullifies him a bit. Stacks JD says, Superflex, second quarterback, Marcus Mariota or Mac Jones? Dude, that's a really good question. You know, the New Orleans Saints, they have not been good against mobile quarterbacks. I know this for a fact, but I just don't think that the Falcons have enough firepower to justify playing Marcus Mariota there. So I'd go Mac Jones. EJ Rodriguez says, greetings and salutations. Thank you. Full PPR, you need a running back and one flex. We have Dillon, Sanders, Mooney, and Bateman. Okay, of the available options, let me see here. We're full PPR. So we have Mooney playing as the flex, and your running back of need will be Miles Sanders. Thank you very much, EJ. Appreciate that. WX11 says Fryer Muth or Albert Okwuegbunam in a half PPR. Again, WX, I appreciate you sending in the donation. But again, guys, don't forget, the rankings that are on the screen to the right of me right now are updated rankings for a half PPR scoring format, which includes the answer to that question. So I would rather play, Pratt Freiermuth, who's my number 9 tight end going to this, Sunday, against Albert Okwuegbunam. That was interesting. Albert Okwuegbunam. That is a tongue twister. That is certainly one. Who is my number 14. So don't forget, the rankings are on the screen over there. So if you're interested, check those out. That should be able to help you answer questions or answer some of your questions you may have. Let me see here. Okay, cool. Charles N. says, who would you add via waiver? Christian Watson, Josh Palmer, Nico Collins, or Julio? I'd rather pick up Julio today. I just want to see what the heck he's capable of. Obviously, Christian Watson is one of those fun options to maybe, just maybe, he could end up having a great game here, considering, we don't know who's going to be that primary receiver. I'm assuming that he's going to take the backseat in comparison to the veterans, like a Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins tonight. So for right now, I'd like to see what Julio is capable of doing. That's my waiver pickup between those four. Jaden Thornton says full PPR, Hunt, Dillon, Harris, Carter. Of the available options in a full PPR, what do we got here? We've got, I'm still playing Harris. Yeah, I'm still playing Harris there over the rest of them. I know Michael Carter could be a sneaky receiving threat option, but with Breece Hall there, I don't know how much of an expanded role in the receiving game they're going to, specifically give to Michael Carter. If I had a better idea of that, then I'd be like, okay, we could play him. But for right now, I'd just rather play Harris being the primary back. He's probably going to get the most touches out of the 4 players that we're mentioning here. And could even get some receiving work. I wouldn't be surprised there, considering Ty Montgomery's questionable to play for that team. All right, Caleb, thank you very much. Full PPR, Bateman or Dillon? As of right now, I'm fairly certain I have Bateman ahead of Dillon. I can confirm that. Let's see here. Rashad Bateman, A.J. Dillon. Yeah, we have Rashad Bateman ahead of A.J. Dillon in a full PPR. So if anybody else was wondering, that's the way I would go with it. Kev Child says, full PPR, Patterson, Mike Davis, Melvin Gordon. I'd rather play Mike Davis over the bunch there. That would be my suggestion for today. Nick Cupo says, Godwin, Elliott, A.J. Dillon, Brandon Ayuk in the flex spot, standard scoring league. If it's a standard scoring league, I'm playing A.J. Dillon there. Thank you very much. Justin says, what's your biggest reason for Komet over Njoku? I don't have Komet over Njoku. What? I have it the other way around. I'm assuming you meant the other way around. What's my biggest reason for having Njoku over Komet? The reason I don't like Komet this week is because the 49ers, Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker, outside linebacker that typically covers tight ends there, is really good at doing his job. They're going to have a pretty tough time being able to just balance all of that. On top of the fact that it could be, weather being added on top of it. The offensive line's not going to give, Mr. Justin Fields much time. I'd rather play David Njoku in a better matchup in an offense that I'm a little bit more certain of is going to get the tight end the ball when they need to. But again, that was my assumption of what your question was, considering it was opposite. Anyway, Jesse Guevara says, start the Chargers defense. I mean, in comparison to what? I don't have them in my top 12 this week. I think that matchup against the Vegas Raiders is going to be relatively high scoring both ways. So I don't really feel like starting them and losing, the 10 primary points that I get off, the rip. Let's see here. Jack Darjean says, should I start David Njoku or Albert Okwuegbunam for Rachaad White? Or should I drop one of those two options for Rachaad White? If you have Leonard Fournette, you can. If you're just trying to handcuff and you want to get rid of one of your 2 tight ends, yeah, you certainly can. I don't mind that. Roberto says, better stash full PPR, KJ Osborne or Josh Palmer? If I had to pick one, I would say KJ Osborne. I know a lot of people have hype around Josh Palmer. I just don't know how often they're going to use 3 wide receiver sets in comparison to the Vikings, which I know are certainly going to premiere that probably like 97% of the time. Kane sends in a question. Says Mooney or Elijah Moore. Fairly certain I have Elijah Moore ahead of Darnell Mooney in a full PPR. Alex sends in a question. Olivas says, thank you for the intel. Half PPR. Start 2. Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett, Tony Pollard, Julio Jones, Russell Gage. Okay, Julio Jones. And then am I starting in a half PPR? I think I'd just rather roll with Michael Thomas there. I know Tony Pollard's the only other guy that I'm considering, right? I want to play Julio. I'm considering Tony Pollard, but I think this is one of those games where I'm just going to kind of wait and see how much they utilize him out of the backfield and specifically in the slot position. So I'd just rather play Michael Thomas there. Thank you. Isaac Garcia says, Higgins or Hollywood Brown in a full PPR? I'd rather play Higgins, I'm pretty sure. Let me see here. Full PPR, Marquise Brown, yeah, is 3 spots lower than Higgins. Danny D says, Michael Thomas or Ramondre Stevenson in the flex full PPR? I'm fairly certain I have Michael Thomas ahead of him. Yeah, I do. I have Michael Thomas ahead of him. Lawrence says full PPR, Zeke or Kareem Hunt? I'd rather play Kareem Hunt. Thank you. Again, guys, like it says on screen, I know it's different for a full PPR, but as of right now, especially in those like, what are the ranks? Let me see here. Especially in the range of like 25 to 29, 30, those running backs are going to stay stable because ultimately their receiving work isn't that high upside in a full PPR to shift it that much. There are certainly guys that could get more work as the game progresses if they're in a specific kind of game script, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough play in that regard. But yeah, we're playing Hunt against Carolina today. Carlos Ruiz says, Gibson, Godwin, Michael Thomas, Ayuk, MVS, starting a wide receiver 2 in a flex. Okay, Gibson's your flex, undoubtedly. Your wide receiver 2, in my opinion, is playing Ayuk there. Thank you. Lilish479, thank you very much, says flex full PPR, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, Elijah Moore, Damian Pierce. Okay, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, Elijah Moore. Okay, so if we're playing one out of the group, I'm playing Mike Williams. Yeah, he's by far and away, Lilish, your best option there in a flex full PPR. Josiah McBride says DJ Moore, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, play 2 of them. If I'm playing 2, I'm playing DJ Moore and Elijah Moore. We're getting more Moores this weekend, okay? Amir says, start 2, Javonte Williams, Higgins, Hollywood Brown. Ooh, I don't know what your scoring format is because you didn't mention it, but we'll assume that it's a half PPR. Half PPR, I'm playing Javonte. Ooh, am I playing? Okay, let me think about this. Yeah, no, I am. I'm playing Higgins and I'm playing Javonte. It's not that I don't want to play Marquise Hollywood Brown. I just rather have the other 2 options. I feel more comfortable with them. All right, Fabian says full PPR, Bateman or Dillon. We're playing Bateman over Dillon this week. Thank you. All right, so let's see how much I've caught up. We're almost there. We're almost caught up. As soon as I can catch... Oh, did my internet go out? Maybe not. No, we're good. As soon as I can catch up with these donation questions, because again, they jump priority in terms of line, I'll be able to try to get into the chat, answer as much as I possibly can. I want to thank you guys for coming out this morning. There's about 1,500 of you in here. This is the most viewers I have ever had in a singular live stream. I cannot thank you guys enough for supporting the channel and helping us get to this position. I greatly appreciate you guys. I'm trying to help as much as I possibly can. For those of you who just joined us this morning, the rankings to the right of me are updated as of, 7:59 this morning prior to getting onto this stream. They take into account that J.K. Dobbins is not going to be playing. Mike Davis is going to be the primary running back there. It takes into account that there's no George Kittle this weekend. I've already taken into account the weather conditions of the Jacksonville versus Washington game, along with the 49ers versus Chicago game. I've also taken into account the fact that the starting right and left tackle my breath is running out, for the Green Bay Packers are going to be out. So I've gone ahead and kind of adjusted everything accordingly. Hopefully everything on the right side of the screen could potentially kind of lead you in the right direction. If it does not, I'll try to answer your question as best as I can. Keep an ear out because somebody may ask a question via donation that also helps you out. That may be able to kind of give you a better idea. But everything on screen kind of gives you an idea because someone just asked in the chat, Cousins or Lance. I have Lance ranked higher on screen, so that should be able to help you out. That's for a 4-point per passing touchdown format. Thank you. Okay, let's get into this. We just answered Fabian's question. We're going Bateman over A.J. Dillon. Andrew James says, I had Akers versus Cup. I'm about to rally. Michael Thomas or David Montgomery in the flex. I'd rather play David Montgomery. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Juwan says, Chase Edmonds or Elijah Moore in the full PPR. Ooh, I think, man. That one's a good one. I think I'm fairly comfortable playing Chase Edmonds. I think he has enough receiving upset and work on the ground to get it done there. So I go Chase Edmonds. True gentleman for you. Welcome. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. He says, I love you, bro. Full PPR. Edmonds, Ayuk, Tony, Deontay. If Deontay Johnson is an option, am I playing him over? Let me see here. Where do I have Deontay Johnson? I'm fairly certain I'm playing him over Edmonds, but it's not by much. Where the heck is Edmonds on? Yeah, I'm playing Deontay Johnson. If he's available, that's your primary guy there, true gentleman. If you want to opt away from him, it would be Edmonds as the second best option. Dale Derrick says, this question is for 2 leagues. Full PPR. Can you pick 2 of the 3 potential wide receivers? We have Waddle, Sutton, and Juju Smith. Okay. If we're picking 2 out of those 3, I'm picking Sutton, then Waddle, then Juju in that order. So Sutton and Waddle would be your 2 primaries there. 3 out of the potential 4. Okay, this is the next league. We have Evans, Waddle, Higgins, Thielen. We're playing Evans. We're playing Higgins. Then it's just a matter of a question of, in a full PPR, would we rather play Waddle or Thielen? I would rather play Waddle as of right now. Again, he's never had, I think, I don't know. There are some stats that I wanted to rip off the top of my head. Right now, I just got to keep moving. But either way, those are the guys, because I don't want to fall behind in terms of answering questions. Evans, Waddle, Higgins in that one league, Waddle and Sutton in the other. So yes, I do trust in Waddle versus the New England Patriots later today. Someone in the chat said, Romeo Dobbs a legit option today or a crapshoot? I think that's a crapshoot. Honestly, I think this is a situation where we kind of have to wait and see. He could very certainly come down with a couple receptions there and make a big play, but ultimately we just don't know how much they're going to play those rookie wide receivers. They're certainly going to be involved, but to what capacity, that is the biggest question. All right, let's see here. Pirate Alive says, what does Pirate say? Okay, so we're talking about full PPR, Penny, London, or Claypool. I'd play Rashad Penny out of the group. Thank you very much, Pirate. Mike Jones says, Dallas or Miami's defense? Why don't you show rankings? Because I quite frankly legit cannot fit them on screen for defense. If I had an opportunity to fit them on the screen, I could remove myself from the screen, but I got to be here. Okay, I got to be here. So as of right now, we're going with Miami defense over Dallas today. Dom says, I know you got Michael Thomas low. For upside purposes, would you still recommend Gibson and Renfro over him in a full PPR? Yes, 100%, Dom. I'd rather play Gibson and Renfro over Michael Thomas today. BD sending another question, says Renfro or Lockett half PPR? I'd rather play Renfro there. Thank you. Travis Hayes says Zay Jones or Marvin Jones. I'm fairly certain I have Marvin Jones ahead of him. Let me confirm. Marvin Jones. Yeah, I have him 4 spots ahead of Zay Jones. James Joyner, welcome. Thank you for donating. I appreciate that. Full PPR, Deontay Johnson or DK Metcalf? I'd rather play Deontay Johnson today against Cincinnati Bengals. Steve Alvarez says, full PPR, rank them based on absolute ceiling. Okay. St. Brown, Waddle, Sutton, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Higgins. Okay, so if we're basing on upside ceiling, the highest ceiling out of your potential options that you mentioned is Hollywood Brown having the highest ceiling. Then therefore after him, it would be Higgins, Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Moore, Waddle. So if you're looking for like the primary 3, it's Hollywood, Higgins, and Sutton. Those are your like ultimate upside guys, because those are the guys that have the highest upside for touchdown, in my opinion, out of the available you have. And then you ask, buy low on Akers or Allen Robinson? I'd be willing to buy low on Allen Robinson. Akers, that's a completely different conversation, because, I mean, it felt like he just wasn't even at the game. That's how much of an impact he had. Someone in the chat just asked, bro, do I start Zeke? If you have somebody available on your team that is above him in my rankings that you could play in his stead, I would probably kind of lean in that direction. Someone in the chat's name is Ron Burgundy, huh? How about that? What kind of name is that? You just put a question mark? Why didn't you ask a question? Anyway, moving on. Avdil Luma says, full PPR, Edmonds or Mike Davis in the flex? I'd rather play Edmonds. Yeah, for sure. I know that he popped up earlier this week with a groin injury of some sort. He was at a full practice capacity on Friday, so we're good to go. Lil Morty in the chat says, what's the weather look like for the games? There's only 2 games that are in question that weather could potentially impact. One of them being Chicago, in Chicago versus the 49ers. 60 to 64% chance of rain. I feel like I'm a weatherman at this point. Goodness gracious. And then we have Washington at Washington taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They also have like a 40% chance of rain. Again, I'm not too concerned about the fantasy pieces. If we were talking about 25-mile-per-hour winds, I'd be like, all right, we're in some trouble. But ultimately, I don't think those percent chances of precipitation are going to impact us very much. It really hasn't in prior seasons. I've often been someone that wants to play our players regardless of weather, as long as the weather doesn't impact throwing the ball. As long as throwing a sidearm screen pass doesn't take the ball 7 yards in the wrong direction, I think we'll be okay. Sam Castillo says, PPR, Bateman, Edmonds, Stevenson. In a full PPR, I'm fairly certain I have Edmonds above the rest. So I'd play Edmonds there, Sam. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? Have I caught up in any regard here? I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my best. I want to thank you guys for joining us. If you guys haven't yet already, please click the like button down below. Also, if you guys are trying to play fantasy football outside of your own leagues, be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. There's a link down in the description. When you sign up today using promo code Andrew and make a first-time deposit when using the code, you will get a first-time deposit match up to $100. We've talked about it all off season and all weekend in terms of being able to draft teams, play the Pick'ems game. If you're interested in that, it's a great way to support the channel using promo code Andrew today. Thank you very much. All right, where are we at? So we're almost caught up. We just finished Sam's question. The speed attack says full PPR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Lockett, or Ayuk. If I'm playing one out of the group, I'm fairly certain. Let me confirm this. Yeah, it's Ayuk over the bunch. Where's Clyde Edwards? Clyde Edwards there. Yeah, we're playing Ayuk. Xavier Ramos says flex who? AJ Dillon, Elijah Moore, or we're playing Ayuk. Okay, yeah, I'd play Elijah Moore there, Xavier. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jason Frederick says full PPR, Patterson, Hall, Davis. Patterson, Hall, Davis. In a full PPR, your RB2, I'm fairly certain I'm playing Davis there. Let me confirm this. Full PPR, I'm playing Davis. Thank you. Sean R. sent in a good luck, have fun. Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate that. Duran Johnson sent in a donation. I appreciate it. Just don't see your question. Let me see, Duran, if I can find. Okay, here we go. Duran's question. Start one. AJ Dillon, Damian Harris, Chase Edmonds in a full PPR scoring format. If I'm starting one out of the three potential options, I'm playing Chase Edmonds. Thank you. John Wick with a donation. Thank you very much, Jordani. We have stuck between Judy and Thielen. I'd like to play Thielen. Personally, I think there's more touchdown upside, and I know what I'm going to get out of Thielen, especially when he's healthy. I've seen enough in the last 2-3 years with Kirk Cousins to understand what kind of value he is to the roster, and considering he's at a full healthy capacity, he takes the cake in my opinion. Judy's certainly a good option, especially if KJ Hamler isn't going to be active coming off the ACL. I know he's been limited all week, but if I had to pick between the two, obviously I'm preferring one over the other. Let's see here. Okay, we're good to go. No new updates in terms of injuries. We're good. Okay. Sean Bonds says, start Penny or Dameon Pierce? I'd rather play Penny this week. Thank you. Michael Amato, welcome. I see you. Thank you. Happy Football Sunday, Andrew. How confident do you feel about these player props? Elijah Mitchell over 60. Okay, so higher than 60. Okay, so he needs to get 64 yards. And Mike Williams getting over 60 receiving yards. I mean, listen. In the last, what was it? I think the stat was in 6 out of the last 8 games that Elijah Mitchell played, he had 20 or more rushing attempts. Okay? If they're going to go back to doing that because he's healthy, especially in a game that could end up being a relatively rainy game, I'm going to assume they're going to run the ball efficiently enough to where he can get over 60 yards. So 64 yards? Yeah, I think that's a decent number. Mike Williams over 60, I think that's the plain assumption that he's going to get over 60. So I like both of them. I think the Mike Williams over 60 receiving yards or the higher over, yeah, I think 60 receiving yards is probably more of a guarantee than Mitchell getting to that 64 range, only because I don't know how much Trey Lance design runs we're going to see. We've obviously seen some in the past, but I don't know at what capacity they'll be at. So I'm confident on both, just not 100% sure on that Elijah Mitchell over. Jay says, would you still start Juju Smith-Schuster over Michael Thomas? I have Kelsey. Yes, I would. Yeah, certainly. I don't mind starting 2-3 players on a specific team as long as I know it's a good matchup and it's going to be a higher scoring event. That's why I feel more confident in that regard. Markel Adams says, Ayuk or Stevenson in a full PPR, weather in Chicago is bad. Listen, again, I'm looking at the weather report right now. As of right now, we have 60% chance of rain. Where is the wind? Where are we at? Okay, let's go. Yeah. 9 to 10 mile per hour winds. Again, I personally, I have played wide receivers in 20 mile per hour winds and found success, right? From my experience, I don't really put too much of a importance into that, that kind of a weather condition. If it was a tropical storm, on the coast of Florida, and we're worrying about some of it, okay, then we're gonna talk about it. But as of right now, I still feel comfortable playing Ayuk there. Markel, thank you. Joel Garza says full PPR: Elijah Moore, St. Brown, Ayuk, Bateman. Out of the 4 available options, I'd rather play Amon-Ra, St. Brown there, Joel. Thank you. Logan Semple, says Hunt or Brandon Cooks in a standard scoring format. I'd rather play Cooks as of today. Thank you. Ventura says injury update on Zach Ertz. Do I play Zach Ertz or Mo Ali Cox in the PPR? I'd play Zach Ertz. He's going to play. He's been, dealing with the calf injury for the last month. He's going to be active today. If he's active, my assumption is that they're going to use him as an actual receiving threat, not as a distractionary point that they have him line up and then that he's not running routes. I'm assuming that they wouldn't have him dress and go full if he wasn't at a full capacity. So I'm confident in his ability to get the job done. Sebastian Alex says Breece Hall or Kadarius Toney in the flex. I'd rather play Toney in a half PPR. Thank you. Brandon says 4-point per passing touchdown league. Pick up Matt Ryan and start him over Lance because of the pouring rain. No, I think the rain actually helps Trey Lance. If Trey Lance, let's say, for example, the rain gets to a point, okay, which I don't believe it's going to, but let's say, for example, it did. Hypothetically, if the rain got to a point where it was impossible to throw the ball, okay, Lance would be an even better quarterback in my rankings because he would legitimately run the ball the entire time and no one would be able to stop him. I'm telling you guys, he is a ridiculous runner. Like the last time, I think the last college game that he started, he had like 120 rushing yards on like 4 attempts. The dude has wheels. And if they let him out in the open field, especially in a rain game where he's going to make some people miss, make people slip in the, on some of these plays, Lance will put some work together. So I'm not too worried there. I'd play Lance. Jake Perez, full PPR. James Robinson is healthy. Kittle is hurt. Would you start Travis Etienne or Brandon Ayuk? Regardless of those 2 factors, I'd rather play Travis Etienne. I know Robinson is healthy. I just rather play the running back in that regard because if Cam Akers and what he showed the other night is anything to kind of inform us as to what exactly James Robinson's going to look like, I would rather play Etienne because I'm assuming he'll get more of the touches at a pretty high rate. Gucci Han, Louis Han says Njoku or Komet in a full PPR. I have Jamar Chase already. I don't know why Jamar Chase makes a difference as to whether or not we're playing Njoku or Komet. If you had mentioned Hayden Hurst, I think I have Hayden Hurst as my number 17 tight end. Yeah. The only reason I don't have Hayden Hurst within the top 16 right now is because I want to wait and see what kind of opportunities he's going to get in that offense. Ultimately, it may be just like 4 targets at most, but every other tight end on that roster is injured. So Hayden Hurst, don't be surprised. Sleeper, potential play this week. Could have some, could get some work. I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of your question, Gucci, Njoku and Komet full PPR, I'm still in line to play Njoku there. In a full PPR, I've moved Komet up a bit, but I'm still playing Njoku. Diego says half PPR, Mooney, Hunt, Melvin Gordon. Of the available options, let's see here. Half PPR, click onto that. Where do we have Hunt in relation to Mr. Mooney? Mooney's there, and I'm fairly certain I have Hunt behind him. Yeah, we're going Darnell Mooney there. Thank you. Daryl Bottoms. Let's see, Daryl. Where do we have your question? Daryl, don't see your question in the chat. Maybe I got to update the chat myself. Yeah. Daryl, if you can type your message in the chat, that'd be great. Thank you. Kyle says Edmonds or ETN. I'd rather play ETN over Edmonds. Bateman or Judy in a full PPR. I'd rather play Judy over Bateman. Thank you. Will Singleton says half PPR. Juju Smith-Schuster or Rashad Penny. Good question. Let's check here. Full PPR or half PPR. We have Juju Smith there, and we have Penny there. Yeah, I play Juju there. Thank you. Checking updates. Anything new? Nope, we're good to go. Alrighty. Reminder, okay? We're almost about an hour in. Everything to the right of me is updated rankings for a half PPR scoring format. If you have a question, a lot of people are sending in donations. to kind of get priority, because again, there's one of me and 1,600 of you. So I'm trying to take priority based on donations sent in. I'm trying to catch up as quickly as I possibly can so that maybe I can get into the chat, try to answer some questions in terms of who you should be playing this week. Hopefully the information to the right of the screen or the content I have posted all week long will give you a little bit of a better idea as to where to go. Or just listen closely and maybe somebody asks a question that is in relation to what you're dealing with, and we can answer, two birds, one stone, get it done. Thank you. All right. Is Daryl still here? No, Mr. Bottoms? Okay. Moving on. AJ Brown says, Brandon Ayuk or Robert Woods in a full PPR scoring format. As of right now, in a full PPR, I have Brandon Ayuk ahead of him. Thank you. Big DLY23 says, hope you're well. I am. Thank you. Hope you are as well. Full PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown, pick 2. Tony CH, Melvin Gordon, Rashad Penny, Lockett. Okay, so I'm for sure playing Rashad Bateman, and if I'm going to play available option number 2 out of the group, so I'm going Rashad Bateman and I'm going Clyde Edwards there. Those are the 2 options there, big DLY. Okay, Ramesh says, Ayuk or Penny in a full PPR? I think I'm fairly certain I have Ayuk ahead of him just slightly. Where are we at here with Mr. Penny? Where's Penny on my list? Okay, Ayuk's here, and then Penny. Oh, no, actually, I have Penny ahead of Ayuk. There you go. Full PPR, I play Penny over Ayuk. Just had to double check on the rankings because I know sometimes I'll stray at times. Duran Johnson says, start 2 running backs. Dylan, Harris, Chase Edmonds, full PPR. I'm probably playing Harris and I'm playing Edmonds there. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. We have Fabian with another question. Fabian, thank you. Rashad Bateman or AJ Dillon? I'd rather play Rashad Bateman. Thank you. Jake McFadden says, Hunter Renfrow or CEH in a half PPR? I'd rather play CEH. Kilpatrick says, Sammy Watkins or Clyde? I'd rather play Clyde. I like Sammy Watkins. I just don't like him that much to the point where I'm willing to completely risk it all. Average Dan says, I wanted to say that you're the man, and I appreciate all the work that you do for the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I hope you have a great season. Thank you. No question. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Freddie Rivera says, full PPR. Bateman with Lamar or Jalen Waddle. I think I'm still playing Jalen Waddle there. Thank you. Gets Knowledge says, fill 2 flex spots in a full PPR scoring format. We have, okay, of your available options there, Knowledge, Gets Knowledge, I'm playing Amon-Ra St. Brown and I'm playing DK Metcalf over Ramondre and Breece Hall. Thank you. YB says, Michael Thomas, Devonta Smith, AJ Dillon, pick one in a full PPR. I'm fairly certain I have AJ Dillon higher than the 2 others. So yeah, I'd go AJ Dillon there. And then Michael Thomas and then Devonta Smith. Micah Greenslate says, great to be back with you. Great to have you guys back. This is, hey, listen, I'm sure, I know we're all trying to get questions answered, but listen, today is literally Christmas morning for me. I don't really have a Christmas, okay? Christmas, I wake up, it's, we got the tree up, but there's no presents, okay? There's never no presents, okay? So we're sitting here and we're going to unwrap the Christmas tree. We're going to go to the Christmas tree, which is the TV, and we're going to turn on NFL Red Zone, and we're going to hope that the presents we see aren't a bunch of sacks of coal. That's what we're going to hope today. And if they end up being sacks of coal, it's no problem. Tomorrow we'll figure it out on the waivers episode. We'll, have trade targets. We'll have all of that kind of stuff in order to kind of not help you overreact. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun season, guys. It might be the funnest season of all time. I mean, the amount of moves that have been made in terms of quarterbacks and receivers and everybody going everywhere, this may be the most enjoyable season that we've ever had. Okay, and it may be the most unpredictable in that regard, which also makes it a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. So let's see here. Micah Greenslate says, Micah, let's see here. Henry and Cooks are my running backs. Devontae Adams and Hollywood Brown are my wide receivers. I'm stuck between Elijah Mitchell and DK Metcalf in the flex position. I would play Elijah Mitchell. I find more confidence in the volume of touches that he's going to get in comparison to a DK Metcalf. There's far more greater, reliance on those touches that he's going to get on the ground. No presence? No presence. Not for my entire life. Listen, it's okay. We've lived with it. It's okay. I've seen a therapist. No, I'm just kidding. Cyberg says, half PPR, Arian Foster or Jamal Charles. Dude, I sat there and I was like, wait, did I say Arian Foster? If I was to play one of them this week, technically based on matchups, If Arian Foster was still on the Houston Texans, I definitely don't want to play him against that defense in Indianapolis. So I'd rather play Jamal Charles there. Thanks. Anthony says, Deontay Johnson or Josh Jacobs in a full PPR scoring format. I have Deontay Johnson in a full PPR at 34 and Josh Jacobs at 37. So that kind of gives you the answer. I'm going Deontay. Penny or Dillon in a half PPR scoring format. So again, like I mentioned, guys, the rankings on screen to the right of me, right over there. Okay, that's half PPR. Rashad Penny is ahead of Dillon, so that would be my suggestion to the question that you sent in there. Seth, I appreciate the donation, but yeah, again, it's on screen for those of you guys who need it there. AV says, standard, Hawkinson, Renfro, Pollard, Michael Thomas, pick 2. Okay, if we're playing in a standard format, and those are my available options, and dude, that's pretty tough. I'm playing, man, I think I'm pretty comfortable rolling with, I think I'm playing Renfro and Hawkinson. Yeah, that's probably where I'm going to go there, AV. Keith says, full PPR, Michael Carter or Robert Woods? I'd rather play Robert Woods. Thank you. Elias says, do I start Marquise Hollywood Brown or do I play Mike Williams? Or, well, if we're starting one, what was scoring format? Full PPR. In a full PPR, I'm fairly certain I have Mike Williams ahead of him. Yeah, in a full, let me check here. Yeah, I still have Mike Williams ahead of him. So do you sit Hollywood for Mike Williams? I don't know how you can't play them both. I mean, they're both legitimately top 12 options in my rankings. Maybe you've got too good of a team. And then you also mentioned Kyler's my quarterback this week, so I don't know if I want to stack the Arizona pair. Ooh. It makes it more intriguing to want to just kind of root for one offense and hope for the best. But right now, if I'm just giving you my objective opinion, I'd rather have Mike Williams in my lineup. Monsoon, Trey, or LASIK Jameis, says Leo. Soldier Field is soaked. Listen, I'd still rather play Trey Lance. Even if it's soaked, that kind of leads to him running the ball even more, in my opinion. Russell says full PPR, Thielen, Hunt, Cooks, Renfro. If I'm playing one in a full PPR scoring format, I'm playing Brandon Cooks, and then Thielen, and then Renfro, Hunt. Thank you. Poseidon's Will says full PPR, ETN or Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's see here. Full PPR, I'm fairly certain, if I'm not mistaken, I have ETN. Where do we have ETN? ETN's right there. He's 2 spots ahead of Juju in a full PPR. I'd play ETN there. All right. Landon says stash Kenyon Drake if I already have J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, Kenyon Drake is going to get some rotational work today. As to the wide majority, probably not. He's still learning within the offense. He's still trying to pick up on all of the, different nuances that they're going to have to teach him. So for right now, if you want to, you can, but I don't think he's the primary back. It wouldn't surprise me if J.K. Dobbins missed more weeks. So if you want to just kind of have an insurance policy just in case Mike Davis, bows out, then sure, you could pick him up. Let's see here. All right, DJ 622 says, please help pick 2. Okay, dude, why are we doing this troll stuff? Mario Manningham, Tavon Austin, or Ben Jarvis Green Ellis? Oh my goodness, guys, come on, what are we doing? If I had to play one this week, it would probably be, listen, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis may be one of the greatest names of all time. Okay, so that's probably the way we go. Let's hear it. DeZenin says MC, so Michael Carter over Tony Pollard. But can you explain why? Yeah, so purely this is the reason. I expect Zeke to be in the backfield pass blocking the entire game. So unless Tony Pollard is going to be featured specifically in the slot position, he probably won't play that much more than he typically normally would. So as of right now, there's a chance he could be featured in the slot, but there's no guarantee in that. So in terms of Michael Carter, I know for a fact he's going to be in the backfield for probably the wide majority of those passing plays. They're going to throw the ball maybe 60, 70% of the time today. And Joe Flacco's always liked to dump it off to his running backs. You go back to Kyle Juszczyk, Danny Woodhead. They've always been littered with targets from Joe Flacco. So I'd rather play Michael Carter in that regard. Neil Patel says Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, or A.J. Dillon. Sit one. I'm sitting Dillon there. I'm starting Mike Williams in Hollywood. Thank you. All righty. We've almost caught up. Cozy Solo says full PPR, Edmonds or Ayuk. I'd play Edmonds there. Thank you. Jesse Dominguez says half PPR, flex position. Irv Smith, Romeo Dubs, Tyler Boyd, or Robbie Anderson. Whew. Dude, I'm fairly certain I have Tyler Boyd ranked the highest amongst the group. I can confirm that in a minute. What is this? Is that no? It's half PPR. Okay, let's see here. Tyler Boyd, where are you on my list here, buddy? Tyler Boyd's there. Where are the other gentlemen that we're looking for specifically? We're looking for Robbie Anderson is way lower down the list. We're looking for Romeo, which is he's relatively down the list. He's not as high as Tyler Boyd, and Irv Smith's not there either. So yeah, I'd play Tyler Boyd out of those 4 potential options there, Jesse. Thank you. Ivan Garcia, Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. I'd rather play Lamar Jackson. Thank you. Brandon says full PPR. Cooks, Edmonds, Tony, or Dameon Pierce. Okay. Full PPR. I'm fairly certain I have Cooks, Edmonds. I'm fairly certain I have Cook over. What the heck is Edmonds on this list? Yeah, I have Brandon Cooks over Chase Edmonds, so that's where I'd go within a full PPR there, Brandon. Thank you. Corey Hoover says Elijah Moore, Bateman, or Thielen. I'm playing Thielen there. Thank you. Half PPR flex, Josh Jacobs, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore. Josh Jacobs, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore. In a half PPR, I'm fairly certain my suggestion is going to be Cortland Sutton. Let me confirm. Where's my rankings? Nope, it's not. It's going to be Josh Jacobs. I have Josh Jacobs at 31 and Cortland Sutton at 35 in my top 120 flex this weekend. So there it is. Josh Jacobs is the rollout. Do I have DJ? Yeah, I have DJ Moore behind Josh Jacobs as well. So just to answer that question in a half PPR. Jordan says I have Deebo Samuel as my wide receiver 1, Ayuk or Gordon in a half PPR. Ooh. I don't mind the Gordon play there, but I think Ayuk's probably the better way to go. That's my suggestion. Jack says Renfro, Julio, Amari Cooper, flex full PPR. In a full PPR, I'm fairly certain that I have Renfro ahead of him. Yep, I have Renfro ahead of them both. So that's where I'd go. Hunter Renfro. Let's see here. That doesn't, nope, that's not going to work. There's no question attached to that either. Again, guys, make sure that you have questions attached to your donations. I because the chat goes by so damn fast. If you had messaged something in the past and it had nothing attached to it, I just can't. There's no way of me finding it at this point because the chat updates so quickly. CP says, hey, Andrew, I'm ready for the 3rd year with Kiorkof. Pick 2 in a 6-point per passing. Or, is that a 6-point PPR? Is that what you said? 6-point PPR? What? I think you meant full point PPR. There's no way it's a 6-point PPR. Anyway, we're picking 2 of the available options. Deontay Johnson and Chase Edmonds. Those are my 2 guys over the other 2 you have there, CP. Thank you. Ozzy Reyna, says Penny or Swift. That's easy. We're playing Swift. Godwin or Sutton. That's easy. We're also playing Sutton. Wait. What did I say? Swift over Penny, Sutton over Godwin. Sorry. Tongue twister. I Love Women says, start 1 PPR. Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas, Kareem Hunt, Robert Woods. If I'm playing one out of the bunch, I'm fairly certain in a full PPR, it's one of the 2 Cleveland guys. Let's see here. Where do I have Amari Cooper in relation to... yeah, I'm playing Kareem Hunt over Amari Cooper this week. Thank you. John Butterball says, greetings and salutations, Andrew. I need an RB2 in my number 2 flex. We have Bateman, Olave, Pollard, Dotson, Burks, Dameon Pierce. Let me know. Have a good day. Okay, so I'm playing Bateman as your flex. As for your RB2 of the available potential options, I'm playing Dameon Pierce. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jonathan Reyes. We're almost caught up, guys. Says Cooks or Elijah Moore. I'd rather play Cooks. Matha says, my man, full PPR, Brandon Cooks, Josh Jacobs, or what is that? I was going to say Emmanuel Sanders. No, it's Miles Sanders. Of the 3 options, I'm fairly certain Josh Jacobs that gets the nod from me. Let me see here. We have Josh Jacobs there. We have Brandon Cooks there. Yeah, Josh Jacobs is my suggestion out of those 3 options. Thank you. Jayan, says, full PPR are reflexing Kirk, Penny, Ayuk, or Michael Thomas. I think it might be Penny, to be honest. Penny... Who else do we have there? Yeah, Actually, yeah, I have Penny literally back to back with Christian Kirk, 56 and 57 in a full PPR. We're kind of splitting hairs in that regard, but I have currently Penny ahead of him. Alfredo, thank you very much, Freddie. What's up? Drop Julio or Hubbard for Cooper, not Christian McCaffrey. Cooper, who's Cooper? Amari Cooper? Yeah, why wouldn't you drop Hubbard for Cooper? Yeah, do that. There's no other Cooper that I know of, so yeah, let's drop Hubbard for Cooper there. Taylor says Michael Thomas or Deontay Johnson. I'd rather play Deontay this week. Thank you. Romeo T Robot, okay, says Kirk over Pittman. Christian Kirk, no. Gutsy call Sutton as my wide receiver too. No, I'd rather play Michael Pittman Jr. this week. Jay says half PPR. Reason for Sutton over Cooks. Yeah, better overall matchup, better overall offense. Probably just as many targets. I feel like the Broncos are going to dominate the Seahawks, causing them to run the ball more. You'd be surprised. Again, the home team in week 1 has a little bit more of an advantage because there's a little, yeah, they have a slight bit of more of an advantage. I don't think the Seahawks get blown out as bad as everyone thinks. So I'm still all in on that Sutton play there. And even if they do get blown out, who's to say that Sutton's not the reason for it, you know? Terry Rice says, can you elaborate on Stevenson over Pollard? Yeah, I don't know what Pollard's going to be today. I know that Stevenson is going to get early down work for second down, and it's against the better matchup. I know he's going to be the third down back primarily. In terms of who's been the third down back for the Dallas Cowboys over the last couple of years, it has always been Zeke because they use him back there either to catch the ball or to pass block specifically, unless they're going to use 2 back sets, you know, specifically 21 personnel, which I doubt they're going to end up doing. Ramondre probably gets more touches today. Pollard could find success, but it'd have to all be purely through the air rather than on the ground. Stevenson's the other way around. Stevenson could find a lot of value on the ground because Miami, yes, they have been stout in terms of run stopping in the past, but ultimately it's not as scary of a matchup in comparison to what Pollard has to deal with today. Kobe says, good to go. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Isaiah says, should I drop Sky Moore for Mike Davis? If you are in need of a flex option and he's the best available, then sure. Otherwise, you don't need Mike Davis purely. If you want to pick him up, maybe he plays well, and you're like, all right, I'm going to try to trade him to the J.K. Dobbins manager. You could do something like that. That could be something that certainly is thrown into the equation. Let's see here. What do we have? What did I miss? Okay. Whose question was I just on? Kobe. Okay. And then we went to Isaiah. We answered that. Luca says Packers, Bengals, Titans, Eagles. Of the available options that you've mentioned, I have... All right, here we go, guys. I'm just going to mention my top 12 defense, top to bottom, okay? As of right now. Saints, Colts, 49ers, Broncos, Ravens, Titans, Miami, Dolphins, Bengals, Eagles, Bucks, Patriots, Browns. So, to answer your question in specific, okay, I would play the Titans over the other defenses that you mentioned. Thank you. Matthew 1031 says, hello, sir. Elijah Mitchell or Adam Thielen? I'd rather play Elijah Mitchell this week. Ivan Garcia, Elijah Moore, or Chase Edmonds in a full PPR? Let's check here. We have Edmonds there and we have Moore there. I play Edmonds over Moore. Thank you. Landon Ramirez says Ramondre Stevenson or Dameon Pierce. I think Dameon Pierce is purely going to have value based on the fact that he's going to have all the touches in that backfield. I don't think Rex Burkhead impedes that much in that regard. So I'm far more comfortable rolling him out there because I know at least he's going to have more available opportunities. Now, I could be totally wrong and Ramondre Stevenson touches the ball 20 times today, but in terms of the realm of possibilities that Dameon Pierce gets out-touched by Ramondre, there's also a question of effectiveness of touches, but I think majority of those Dameon Pierce receptions that he's going to get, maybe 3 or 4 of them, will kind of give him the slight edge over Ramondre this week. Stallions Production says, who do I play in the flex? I have to start between... Oh, wow. Okay. So you have Swift, Tyreek Hill, and A.J. Brown. Wait, what? For my flex, who do I start between Swift, Tyreek Hill, and A.J. Brown? Oh, man. Why do we have these kind of leagues? I have DeAndre Swift ahead of both of them. As to your following question, Michael Thomas or Juju Smith, Stallion, I'd play Juju Smith. Thank you. Albert Ogenda says, Drop one. Higgins, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, or Connor. You have to drop one or you're just not starting one because there's a big difference between the two. If I'm just going to assume you're not starting one of the potential options. If you're not starting one, dude, are we seriously sitting Connor this week? I don't think so. I think I'm probably more in line to sit Hollywood Brown. So I'm playing Higgins, Mike Williams, and I'm playing Connor, and I'm sitting Hollywood, which kind of seems crazy, but that's where we're at. Michael Thomas or AJ Brown? AJ Brown, not even close there. Soul, thank you, appreciate it. Chris sends another donation, says standard DK, Sutton, Brees Hall, ETN. In a standard scoring format, I'm probably leaning towards Sutton or ETN. Between the two of them, probably rather play the running back. Let's go ETN. Washington or Miami defense? I'd rather play Miami. Thank you. That was to San Tom 21. Thank you very much. Okay, almost caught up. Almost caught up, guys. We're really close. Joga Inc. says, flex Montgomery, Penny, or Elijah Moore. If I'm playing one of the three, I'm playing Montgomery. Christian sends in a question, says, full PPR, flexing Claypool, Godwin, Hardman, Pollard, or Tony. Out of the available options, I'd rather play Kadarius Toney over the bunch. Komet or Irv Smith, I'd rather play Komet. Let's see here. Chris Mendoza says, who would you start in the flex, Mooney or Hunt? And also Freiermuth or Tunyon. I'd rather play Freiermuth over Tunyon. I'd rather play, I'm fairly certain, in a half PPR. Let's check here. Where do we have Mooney? Mooney's a little bit higher. Yep, right there. And Hunt's there. Yeah, I'd play Mooney over Hunt. Thank you. So Freiermuth and Mooney. CJ says full PPR. Take out Zeke as my RB2 spot. Replace him with Pierce. Then Ayuk in the flex and bench Zeke, question mark. We have Godwin, Pickens. We have Dotson on the bench. Appreciate all the work you do. So as of right now, if I'm playing Zeke over Ayuk, that's the question, right? In a full PPR scoring format, let's see what we have here with Zeke. Ayuk is there. And where is Zeke on my rankings? I'm fairly certain I have Zeke ahead of him. I could be wrong, though. Let's check. Penny. No, I don't have Zeke ahead of him. I have Zeke way lower down. Yeah. So, as to answer your question, yes, CJ, you do exactly what you mentioned. Pierce, Ayuk, that's the way to go. Mr. Tulip says, Mike Davis or Treylon Burks in a PPR? I play Mike Davis there. I just don't know what kind of work we're going to see from Treylon Burks. Don't want to risk it. Jonathan says, bench Zeke for Ayuk or Godwin? Yes, I would for either of them. Yeah. At this point, I am on the route of just ignoring Zeke this week. Only at a point where if it's really a worse option in my head, like Zeke could very easily, okay, guys, let me put this in perspective, could very easily have 2 rushing attempts from inside the 1 yard line and score 2 touchdowns and have 15 points this week. Could very easily accomplish that. But in terms of what I potentially expect, that kind of luck going in his direction based on the matchup, it's possible, just not likely. Okay, so quick reminder, all right? We're about an hour and 15 into the stream. We got 45 minutes here. I'm almost caught up with all the donations. Want to remind you guys, okay? First and foremost, the rankings right here, updated rankings, half PPR. People are going to continue to send in donations, so I'm going to try to keep up with that as best as I possibly can, but these could answer your questions in terms of updated rankings as of this morning. So keep that in mind. Also, for those of you who are like, what the heck is going on? Why can't I get my question answered? Listen, there's 1,400 of you. There's one of me. I'm going to prioritize donations because they're contributing to the channel in that regard. If you guys want, you can send one in, or you can check out the Patreon down in the description. $10 a month. You can you have access to all of my rankings. Ask me however many questions you want throughout the week. We have full and half PPR rankings posted there, ready to go. Top 60 running backs, top 80 wide receivers, top 120 flex to this week. So if you're interested, check that out. Also, check out Underdog Fantasy if you're trying to play fantasy football. Again, there's a lot of contests to be played, a lot of teams to be drafted. You can play the pick'ems there, picking higher or lower on a given stat. If you check them out, use promo code Andrew today when you sign up and make a first-time deposit. You'll get a first-time deposit match up to $100. So take advantage of that. Play some more fantasy football. And of course, we talked about some of those, pick'ems that I'm going after this weekend. A lot of those players have lower numbers than they probably will have beginning next week because it's beginning to rotate in that direction. But whoever's setting the line just doesn't know where it's going. So they're just kind of playing it safe. All right, moving on. Let's get into catching up real quick. Okay, we talked about Jonathan's question. We did that. So Ollie says, full PPR, Ayuk over the Jets running backs? Yes, I would play Ayuk over the Jets running backs. Eric says, Njoku or Ertz? I would play Zach Ertz this week, Eric. Stacks says, Brady, Monty, London for Mariota, Henry, Juju. Brady, Monty, London for Mariota, Henry, Juju. If you're going to have to start Marcus Mariota for the full year, no. If you can find another quarterback, yes, take the deal. Pedro says, what is this? Standard. Play it safe with Conklin or start Zach Ertz. I don't think Conklin is theoretically a safe play. I have Conklin in a half PPR right now, currently ranked as my number 22 tight end on the week. He's not a bad option. I just don't expect him to get much defined utilization, considering they still have CJ Uzama there. They're going to probably split. They may go a lot of 12 personnel where they're using 2 tight end sets. Both are just as capable receiving options. Both are just as bad in terms of run blocking. So I don't think they prefer to keep one in and send the other out. So for right now, I'm playing Ertz. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you could absolutely pivot to Conklin effectively. Lucius says, Zeke or Juju? I'm playing Juju Smith-Schuster this week ahead of Zeke. And then you're also asking Michael Thomas or Zeke. I'd rather play Michael Thomas purely. Greetings and salutations says, let's see here. What the heck is this question? Wait, why did it update like that? Okay, there it is. Adriano says, greetings and salutations. How you doing? Merry game week 1 fantasy football Sunday. Yes, it really is. It's Christmas today. Just an inquiry. You value Mike Williams over Keenan Allen in a half PPR? Yes. When it comes to a full PPR, it would pivot probably in a better direction for Keenan Allen. But in a half PPR specifically, yes, I prefer Mike Williams over Keenan Allen going into week 1. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, where do we go? Jake Jorgensen says Montgomery, Dillon, Chase Edmonds, pick 2 running backs. For the RB2. I would order it Montgomery, Edmonds, and Dillon in that order. Thank you. Someone in the chat asked Amon-Ra St. Brown or Michael Thomas. Regardless of scoring format, I'd rather play Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sutton or Michael Thomas, I'd rather play Sutton. Again, guys, just a reminder, everything over there, right there on screen, okay, is updated rankings as of this morning, 7:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Right before I got on stream, I made a last couple adjustments. So Michael Thomas down on the bottom of the list is number 35, while guys like Juju Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown are number 21 and 22. So that's the way I would go in that direction. So check that out. Thank you. As for Anthony with the next question here, thank you very much for the donation. I greatly appreciate that. It says half PPR flex spot, Hollywood Brown or Travis Etienne. I think I'm going Hollywood in that regard. Ooh, that's close, but I think, yeah, let me see your half PPR flex, boom, where are we at? Marquise Hollywood Brown, number 28, ETN. Yep, no, I'm going Marquise Hollywood Brown there. Thank you very much, Anthony. Appreciate it. Michael Campbell says, Hollywood or Gibson? Dude, I have Hollywood Brown in a half PPR, number 28, and I have Gibson as my number 29. I mean, if you're playing in a full PPR, you didn't mention any scoring format. If you're playing in a full, Antonio Brown probably takes the cake there. Not Antonio Brown, sorry. Marquise Hollywood Brown, it's funny because one of them's Antonio Gibson, the other one's Hollywood Brown, Antonio Brown. Marquise Hollywood Brown would go ahead and take he would probably be the guy that I pick between the two. If it's a full, if it's a half, even in a half, I'm still kind of leaning towards Hollywood. They're literally next to each other, so it's kind of a gut feeling thing. I'd go with Hollywood there. Michael Thomas or Devonta Smith? I have Devonta Smith as my number 37 wide receiver right now, in both. Specifically in a half PPR scoring format. Do I trust Michael Thomas over him? Do I trust him more? Probably not. Am I willing to ride with Michael Thomas because I look at Devonta Smith's potential total upside and it doesn't really give me, that much hope? Yeah, that's why I would rather go with Michael Thomas, because I think AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, running the ball with Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Gainwell. How much utilization is Devonta Smith going to see in this offense? It begins to make me think, yeah, it's probably something I'm not interested in. Keelan in the chat said Montgomery or Metcalf. Yeah, I play Montgomery there this week. Pittman or Gibson in a full PPR, says Cody. I'd play Pittman there. Thank you. Let's see here. But understand that when you're playing Michael Pittman, you're hoping that the guy's going to catch the ball 6 times for 60 yards, get that baseline, and then have the upside of a touchdown. So that's what we're hoping for. I think we'll easily be able to get that against Houston today. Rufus Vaughn says Edmonds, Pierce, or Zeke. I'd rather play Edmonds over the bunch. What do we have here? Okay, so John with a question says DeAndre Swift or Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, as of right now, I'm fairly certain I'm playing DeAndre Swift over him in almost every capacity. So yeah, I play DeAndre Swift. You drafted your stud to play him. The fact that Michael Pittman won't start on your lineup, John, is beyond me. I don't know what kind of a team you have, but congratulations, you have a good problem to have. But right now I'm playing Swift this week. Pedro says Stevenson or Amari Cooper in a standard format. In a standard scoring format, I'd rather play Ramondre Stevenson. Thank you. Jay says, thoughts on Juju Smith-Schuster for today? Rest of season with Mahomes as his wide receiver 1. Yeah, I expect him to be the wide receiver 1 of the team. I expect him to, if my my galactic brain has some sort of superpowers, okay? Hopefully, Juju Smith-Schuster is this year's Cooper Kupp. The guy that was drafted way later and comes out to be an absolute monster. Now, if he shows up today and puts up 1 catch on 1 target for 6 yards, it is what it is. But I'm hoping that they brought him into the organization for a reason. He's going to fill the slot role. They targeted slot receivers a bunch last season. And, someone's got to make some plays on that team besides Kelsey. They're eventually going to double cover Kelsey. And when they do, Juju's going to have to be open. Sticky Spitz says, full PPR, not sure who to start currently with Hollywood, Thielen, Judy. Bench has Ayuk, Deontay, and DJ Moore. My God, you got a monster team. In a full PPR scoring format, I like Hollywood Brown, I like DJ Moore, I like Deontay Johnson. Those are 3 really good options there. Thielen's fantastic as the 4th, Judy at the 5th, Ayuk at the 6th. But again, I don't want to leave DJ Moore on the bench. I don't want to leave Deontay Johnson on the bench. I'd rather play them ahead of Judy and Thielen this week. Thank you. Stuart Andrew says, Michael Thomas or Damian Pierce in a half PPR. All right, let's see here. I'm pretty sure I have Damian Pierce ahead of him. I do. I play Damian Pierce there, Stuart. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Taha Ahmed says, PPR. Drop 1 from the roster for a kicker. Michael Thomas, Ayuk, or Allen Robinson. Oh man. Okay. If you're legitimately like Andrew, I legit need to drop 1. These are my only 3 options in a full PPR scoring format. Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, Ayuk. I would drop Ayuk off the roster. I'd pick up a kicker. Thank you. SoFlo says, Elijah Mitchell or Brandon Cooks in a PPR. I'm pretty sure I have Elijah Mitchell ahead of him. I do. Elijah Mitchell's my suggestion there. Thank you. Clarence. Oh, thank you, Clarence. How's it going? What's up, Andrew? Says, pick 2. We have a 2 QB league here. Start Mac Jones, Justin Fields, or Daniel Jones. If I'm picking 2 out of those 3 options, I'm playing Mac Jones and Justin Fields. I'm leaving Daniel Jones on the bench. Thank you. Brock, 2343, says Higgins or Sutton? Russ might cook. Russ is certainly going to cook. I expect him to cook. I've ranked him as such, but I still like Higgins more. Let's see here. There's another question that didn't have a donation attached to it. Here we are. Sayu, thank you very much for the donation. You have a Mewtwo logo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but you have the Mewtwo avatar. You're asking AJ Brown or James Conner in a PPR. I would probably feel more comfortable playing James Conner this week. Thank you. Javier Hernandez says half PPR, flex, Etienne, Hardman, or Damian Harris. I'd rather play Etienne as the main guy there. Thank you very much, Javier. Gaga says, bro, where are the hidden gems? Listen, the gauntlet, assembling all the gems is very difficult, guys, okay? You guys think that that's really easy to just, find 6 hidden gems. In week 1, that is a very difficult thing to do, okay? Because oftentimes, hidden gems are found based on injuries, based on other circumstances of bye weeks taking place. And the hidden gems have typically been players that have filled into positions of that sort, right? Filling in for injuries, filling in for bye weeks, all that kind of jazz. So for week 1, we're typically starting our studs. So hidden gems wasn't necessary. We may have it in the future. Don't worry. It could come back. I could get the gauntlet back out. And then your follow-up question there, Gaga, was Gibson or Sanders in the flex? I'd rather play Antonio Gibson over Miles Sanders. Thank you. Jeremy says, in a full PPR, Ayuk, Drake London, or Pierce? As of right now, I have Ayuk ahead of the bunch that you mentioned. So that's where I would go for the moment. I don't want to play London. Not 100% sure as to what we're going to see from him. It's very similar to kind of the Michael Thomas conversation, but maybe even worse at this point. Let's hear. Cody Shannon says, Swift or Higgins full PPR? Good question. Actually, good question, because I think it might be Higgins as the answer. But it just sounds wrong to even say that, but it might be. Let's see here. Full PPR, we have DeAndre Swift. Where's Higgins? Actually, no. I have DeAndre Swift ahead of Higgins. Wait, where's it? Yeah, I do. By actually a pretty good margin, too. We're playing Swift. Play your studs. Moving on. We have... Where the heck is this? PT Morris, thank you, says, Kareem Hunt, Mike Davis, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who should I flex? Out of the bunch, I like Kareem Hunt, personally. CEH, next best option, Mike Davis, third. So that's where I'd go. Thank you. Ryan Cruz says, Trey Lance or Christian Kirk, or not Christian Kirk, Kirk Cousins. Soldier Field, weather is bad. Listen, I'm aware of the weather being bad. If you guys are worried about it, please opt away. I feel comfortable with it, personally. I know the weather is probably going to be bad. It's going to rain. But I don't think that impedes the rushing ability of a quarterback that is predominantly going to find their points off of rushing stats already. So personally, doesn't bother me. If you would like to play Kirk Cousins, by all means, go for it. Because truth be told, look at the rankings on screen. They're not that far apart. I've got Lance at number 9, and I've got Kirk Cousins at number 11. They're relatively close, which means the main difference in my mind in terms of my projections is just legitimately a 1.5 difference. So it's not that big of a deal. So if you would rather play one over the other, I think let's go for it. Especially if you're sitting in a position where you're like, listen, Trey Lance is already in a bad weather game. Let's wait and see what he does, and then we can play him the rest of the year. I'm okay with that. I don't mind it. I think Kirk Cousins is perfectly fine, stable start this week that you don't have to worry about. And it goes to say also for the other receiving options in that game. If you're concerned enough about Debo, I'm still playing Debo. Again, they can use him as a running back. That is why he is still so highly ranked. Because if it gets to a point where it's rain heavy, they're going to hand him off the ball. And that's where, Elijah Mitchell begins to kind of take a little bit of a regression in terms of his overall potential. But if you're worried specifically about Brandon Ayuk, there are other options out there you can certainly play and find success. But that's something, if you're worried about it, you can pivot away. I'm okay with playing those guys. So we answered Sayu's question. We got that one. Jorge Luis says, ETN or Edmonds in a full PPR. James Robinson is back, not sure. Yeah, as of right now, I'm still going with ETN over Edmonds. In a full PPR, I have ETN as my number 43 and Edmonds as my number 47 overall on my top flex list. So we're going ETN still. Dom says 6 point per passing touchdown league, Tua or Trey. I'm still playing Trey. I'm not too convinced that Tua could get... If Tua gets 2 passing touchdowns, I will be legitimately surprised. I think 1 touchdown is kind of where he sits in the range of. If he ends up having an incredible game and Tua is, stepped up to the next level like we were hoping he would end up doing, then awesome. But right now, I'm still rolling with Trey. I'm not worried about it. But again, if you'd like to play Tua, go for it. Julian Barnes says David Montgomery or Josh Jacobs. I prefer Josh Jacobs specifically in that full PPR scoring format that you mentioned. Scott says trade in a superflex full PPR premium tight end. I have Mark Andrews and Kittle. I need a running back. I have Fournette, but I want to trade Kittle for Damian Harris for ETN and Hunter Henry. Thoughts? In a tight end premium league, if Kittle is healthy, he will score more points than ETN. So if you're that desperate for it, you can go for it. But I think that Kittle in the long run, assuming there is a long run and he's not going to miss too many weeks here, is a better overall player. But if you're worried about that and you're like, you know what, I just rather avoid the frustration, play ETN, that's fine. But I personally think Kittle will score more points in a tight end premium over him this week, or this year, excuse me. Red Boy says Gibson or Montgomery. I'd rather play Gibson this week. Steven Talbot, welcome. How's it going? Edmonds or Elijah Moore? I'd rather play Edmonds. Leftwich says half PPR flex Zeke, AJ Dillon, or Brandon Cooks. I'm playing Brandon Cooks there. Thank you. Let's see. Did you have a message in the chat? Let's see here. Nope, don't see any message from you. There's nothing attached to your donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. ETN said, okay, so this is Seth East. It says ETN or Montgomery as my RB2 slot. I prefer Montgomery over ETN this week. Miles Sanders, Bateman, or one of those running backs that you didn't start in the flex option in a PPR. As of right now, I would prefer to play Miles Sanders and Montgomery as your two options. So you can go ahead and actually in a full PPR, no, we have ETN ahead of Miles Sanders. Dude, Montgomery, ETN, and Sanders is literally the order in my full PPR. So yeah, then you're playing Montgomery and you're playing ETN. Those are your two options. You're sitting Miles Sanders. We'll wait and see what happens. So play your two primary backs. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay. ROOD said, Julio, Marquez Valdez-Scantling in the flex. I'd rather play Julio this week. Thank you. I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling needs to score a 40-yard touchdown to be relevant. I don't know if he's going to be that utilized in that offense outside of being a deep threat. Joel Garza says full PPR. Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Penny, Bateman. I'm pretty sure Elijah Moore is higher than everyone on that list in a full PPR. Let me confirm. He is. Elijah Moore is my suggestion there. And then Bateman would be next. Moving on. After Joel Garza, we have James Grover. Says Dameon Pierce or Chase Edmonds full PPR. Chase Edmonds is my suggestion, James. Thank you. Sayu says, why A.J. Brown over Mike Williams? In what format? That's my question. Because as of right now, I'm pretty sure in a half PPR I have him over him. In a full PPR to be different. Didn't you ask in a full? Maybe I'm mistaken. Tyrus Johnson says Mike Gesicki or Irv Smith. 100% Irv Smith. I do not want to play Mike Gesicki in any capacity. In a full PPR, I have Mike Williams ahead of him. I'm fairly certain I do. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I have Mike Williams literally swapped with A.J. Brown in a full PPR. Why? Because A.J. Brown isn't going to see as much of a volume of targets, so the overall upside of receptions diminishes, and therefore the fantasy point differential kind of swaps them. What defense do you recommend? I'll go ahead and mention my top 12 defenses again, guys, just in case you guys missed that earlier. I want to thank you guys for coming out this morning. Again, there's about 1,400 of you in here. If you guys could help us get to over 1,000 likes, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so let's talk about this, shall we? We have as our top 12 defenses, let me move this down right here so I can just look straight at it instead of looking up. We have the following as our top 12 defenses: Saints, Colts, 49ers, Broncos. That's the top 4. Ravens, Titans, Dolphins, Bengals. That's 5 through 8. We have Eagles, Buccaneers, Patriots, and Browns. That's 9 through 12. So if you want, you can rewind that, listen to it again. Those are my top 12 defenses of the remaining potential defenses of the week. Thank you very much. All right, let's take a water break here for a sec. All righty. Back to it. A lot of questions to be answered. Move that up there. We're good to go. Okay. Who do we have next? Okay. N Low says, flex ETN, Brandon Cooks, or Julio Jones in a half PPR scoring format. I'm fairly certain. Where is Cooks? Cooks is there, and ETN's there. We're playing ETN, then Cooks, then Julio in that order. So play ETN this week, N Low. Luna says full PPR, Superflex, Ayuk, AJ Dillon, or Zeke. I'm not playing Zeke. It's AJ Dillon or Ayuk. Let's see here. Where's my full PPR flex list that I set up this morning? Where is AJ Dillon? AJ Dillon's there. Ayuk's ahead of him. That's probably where I'd go then. If you're worried about the weather, you could play Dillon for sure, but I'm not touching Zeke in any capacity. But Ayuk would be my suggestion at that point. Nelson says full PPR, Ramondre or Breece Hall, RB2. I'd play Ramondre Stevenson. Thank you. Kevin, A-Clan says, banged up Ertz or Komet in the weather. I'd rather play Ertz. That's why I've ranked him as such. I'm confident enough that if he's ready to go, they're going to get him out there and they're going to utilize him. Now, there could very easily be a scenario where every single injured player from this week, Ertz, Michael Thomas, Drake London, Chris Godwin, all of them could be coming out and just being used as distractions. They don't throw them the ball once. I've seen it in the past. We've seen teams do that where they bring out DeAndre Hopkins for a week, even though he's hobbled, and he just runs routes just to pull coverage. That's it. Like, it's just a cardio game. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. I'm assuming that's not going to be the case. That's why I'm leaning towards Ertz. Mean Gene says full PPR, Hollywood, Deontay Johnson, Josh Jacobs. I'm playing Hollywood without a doubt. And then if it's Josh Jacobs or Deontay Johnson, I'm playing Deontay Johnson. Thank you. In a full PPR specifically. Mark Straw says, in a standard scoring format, would you flex James Robinson, Pollard, or Godwin? I'm leaning towards Godwin. Okay, so here's the thing. In a standard scoring format, I'm not playing James Robinson. I'll tell you that much. First and foremost, don't want to touch him. It's between Pollard and Godwin. If I'm trusting one to make more plays than the other, I'm in a standard scoring format. My assumption is yes, we go Godwin, because even if he doesn't have as many yards, he has probably more upside for a touchdown this week in comparison. So I'd just go Godwin there. Frankie says Penny or Bateman. I'll tell you in both circumstances. In a full PPR, I'll take Bateman. In a half PPR, I'll take Penny. Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate that. Kyle Freeman says full PPR flex, Chase Edmonds, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle. If I'm playing one in the flex, I'm fairly certain in a full, did you ask full? Full PPR. It's one of those two receiving options. I have Deontay Johnson ahead of Jalen Waddle. So I'd go Deontay there. It's Deontay, Waddle, Edmonds in that order. So basically we're sitting both Dolphins playing Deontay. Corey Olson says full PPR, ETN, Waddle, Elijah Moore, Patterson, Damian Harris, or Drake London. Purely of the options you mentioned, Corey Olson, it's between ETN and Waddle in a full PPR scoring format. Currently, I have ETN at 43. I have Waddle at 39. I'd play Waddle there. Thank you. Jose says half PPR. Do you flex Dylan, Carter, or Hunt? I'm playing Hunt well, actually, do I have Dylan ahead of him in the half PPR on screen? I'm fairly certain I don't. Actually, I might. It may have changed in a full PPR. Full PPR, I might have Hunt ahead of him. Yeah, I have Dylan ahead of him. So at that point, we played Dylan over Hunt and Carter. And yes, I'm aware of Jenkins and Bakhtiari both being out. But I'm looking at overall potential for touches and thinking to myself, if I'm relying on both RB2s, an RB2 for Green Bay and an RB2 for Cleveland, and I already know that Cleveland might have Jack, goodness gracious, the names. Jack Conklin, their right tackle, might be out. It's almost an identical scenario where we have just backup linemen just playing across the board. Who has the better chance of getting more points? Again, they both have somebody in front of them. So they're both going to be kind of hamstrung in that idea, but I'm just going to lean with Dylan in that regard. S101 says, Mike Davis, Damian Harris, or Amari Cooper. I'm going with Damian Harris there. Thank you. Ray says, good morning. I'm really thinking about starting Sky Moore over Drake London. Thoughts? I don't mind it. I don't trust Drake London right now because I don't know what he's going to look like. I don't know if he's going to re-aggravate his injury. I don't even know what his injury is. It's so like low key. Obviously, he left that preseason game a month ago with a knee problem. I don't know if it's still the same issue or what the deal is. Let me see here. What exactly have they designated his injury as? Let's go to the Falcons injury report as of week 1. What is his designated injury? Knee. Yeah, it just says knee. And he was limited all week. Now, we could hope that he plays well. Or we could... man. Am I playing Sky Moore? This is what I'll tell you objectively. I have Drake London higher than Sky Moore in my rankings. So, if it's me, I'm probably playing Drake London and just crossing my fingers and just, clinching and hoping. But if you'd like the Sky Moore upside and you think he'll play more than McCole Hardman or Juju in that kind of a role, then you could try it out. But right now, I think London probably be the guy. I don't know about him. He's just so sketchy. David Njoku or Irv Smith says, Matt, I played David Njoku this week. I like Irv Smith. I think he's going to get utilization. But in terms of the hierarchy of targets, it goes Jefferson, Thielen, Cook, Osborne, and then we talk about the tight end position. But he could always score a straight touchdown. But for right now, I'd go Njoku. Alex Wolf says half PPR, Dylan, Chris Godwin, Robert Woods, flex one of them. Half PPR, we're looking for a flex. We have Dylan there. I'm fairly certain I have him over the other two at a pretty relative. Yeah, I'm going Dylan in that regard, Alex. Thank you. Nick sends in a donation, says, I'm in a 12-team league, half PPR, 3 wide receivers. I drafted this following team. We have Lamar, Kamara, Barkley, AJ Brown, Elijah Moore, Ayuk. We have Etienne in the flex. We have Pitts at tight end. So you have an elite tight end, elite quarterback, 2 top 12 running backs, probably 2 top 10 running backs in that regard. You got AJ Brown, which is a lower end wide receiver 1. Elijah Moore and Ayuk pretty much kind of fill into that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 role. You have Etienne. To be honest, if you're playing in an auction draft too, if that was the case, I think you built a pretty good team. Because in terms of your pillars in which your team's going to pretty much stand on, you got strong pieces there. So, I mean, I'm for the team. The only question is, can we get Ayuk or Elijah Moore to be consistent on a weekly basis to kind of make sure that wide receiver 2 position isn't a complete mess? But otherwise, good looking team. Joey Garcia sent in a question. Let me see, Joey. Where are you at? Joey says, full PPR. What are we doing with our flex? Rashad Penny or Darnell Mooney? I'd play Darnell Mooney there. Thank you. T-Set Pass says, Godwin or Olave in the flex. I have Kamara / Swift and Williams / Deontay as my running backs and wide receivers. As of right now, I'm probably playing Chris Godwin. If you're worried about the Chris Godwin play, you play Chris Olave. But for right now, I am on the Chris Godwin do or die train. Let's see here. What's this update that I'm looking at? What is this? What's going on here? Julio Jones clocked the fastest time of any player on the team during training camp or practice. Okay, look, they're just releasing information just to mess with my brain. Okay, moving on. Jorge sends in a question. Says, full PPR, bench 1, Connor Swift Allen. Oh my God. Yo, dude, come on. I'm starting both the running backs. I'm playing Connor and I'm playing Swift. That's just, I have to. At that point, I just think they have more upside. Frankie says, but look, here's the thing. You have Keenan Allen, right? So if he catches the ball 7 times for 70 yards, 14 points, could score a touchdown, probably not. Yeah, I'd still play the running backs. Frankie says, full PPR, Juju or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Antonio Gibson or Brandon Cooks. Dude, you have so many good weapons. Why can't we start all of them? Dude, can I just like trade from a different league to your league and just yoink some of these players? In a full PPR scoring format, I'm fairly certain I have Amon-Ra St. Brown higher than everyone that you just mentioned. Maybe he's behind Antonio Gibson, right? That's the only other guy that I could, let me check. Yeah, I have Antonio Gibson higher than him. That's who I'd play. I'd go Gibson, St. Brown, Cooks, Juju. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate it. Joshua Pippin says, flex Damian Harris, Michael Carter, Russell Gage, Tyler Lockett. If it's a half PPR, I'm going Damian Harris. Thank you. Okay. Reminder, there's 1,200 of you in here. If you're new to the channel, you just hopped in. Of course, the rankings up to date are right there in a half PPR scoring for my top 36 running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends. A lot of you in the chat are mentioning, Andrew, hey, there are weather concerns in Chicago. Should we be worried? As of right now, I think this benefits, if it's to a point where it's like you cannot throw the ball, which I don't think it'll get there, but if it's to the point where that's the case, that benefits Trey Lance, that benefits Montgomery, it benefits Elijah Mitchell, it benefits Debo, it benefits, does it benefit Khalil Herbert? Maybe, but I don't think we're starting Khalil Herbert. It helps Justin Fields because they're all mobile rushing threats. If it's going to hurt anyone, it would be Ayuk. Okay, but with Kittle out, if they're going to throw the ball outside of the numbers, that's who's going to get the ball, purely. I'm of the opinion that, yes, it may be a muddy game, but I'm still willing to start those wide receivers accordingly. Let's see here. Okay, now that we've caught up, another reminder. Again, if you guys are looking for my full expanded rankings, you can check that out via Patreon. Join there, support the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Outside of that, just supporting by clicking the like button down below, subscribe to the channel certainly does help. I greatly appreciate you guys coming out supporting the channel. Also check out Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Andrew today when you sign up, making a first-time deposit using the promo code. You'll get a deposit match, first-time deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit 20, they'll match it with 20. You deposit 50, they'll match it with 50. Minimum deposit of 10. Check that out. Play some potential contests, pick'ems, etc., and see if you can win some cash. All right. So someone asked, stash Jeff Wilson Jr. or J.D. McKissick? I'd rather stash J.D. McKissick right now. What do we have here? Cordero Patterson or Christian Kirk? Charles, I would rather play Christian Kirk. Thank you. Amir Rivera. Thank you very much, Amir. I appreciate that. Says, morning, Andrew. Waddle or Elijah Mitchell in the flex? Amir, can you do me a favor and tell me what scoring format you're inquiring about? Because that would definitely help. Browns versus Panthers. Who's winning? Says Adrian. To be honest, I have no clue. If I had to guess, the Browns win, but I'm going to guess that the end score is going to be like 17 to 20. 20 to 17. Like Browns win by 3 points. Kind of like game-winning field goal. Like that's how low scoring I think it'll relatively be. I'm not too excited about the matchup. Now Baker could come out and just completely take over. We'll see. Father said, did he pick Edmonds over Zeke? Yes, I'm playing Edmonds over Zeke this week. That is 100%. Did Amir respond? Where's Amir? Let's see your F3 function. Amir. Where you at, my guy? PPR. Okay. Waddle or Mitchell? Let's see here. PPR scoring format. We have Mitchell over Waddle. That's my suggestion. We'll play Elijah Mitchell this week. Thank you. Julio Jones or Jacoby Myers? Jacoby Myers was hobbled all week. He was limited in all capacities, Nate Chong. So I'm going to play Julio there. Carter, Harris, or CEH in a full PPR? Let's look at that, shall we? In a full PPR scoring format, who asked this question in the chat? Carson Webb. Okay, Carson. So in a full PPR of the available options that you mentioned, we have Michael Carter there. Who's the other option you mentioned? Harris and then CEH. I'm still playing Harris over the gang. I would still play Harris over the bunch. Juju, Bateman, or Penny in a PPR, says Kyle. I'd rather play Juju there. Tony, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that, Tony. He says Mike Williams or James Conner in a standard scoring format. Ooh, I'm playing James Conner there in a standard. If I'm thinking who's more likely to score a touchdown and get that 6-point influx, it's most likely the running back who had the third most red zone rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line last season. The guy that literally had 18 touchdowns last year. Yeah, I'll take James Conner. Does the rain affect David Montgomery? Yeah, if it affects him, it makes him better. But I don't think it makes him that much. Listen, again, I've already taken into account for my personal concern or upside of those players and attributed that to the rankings on screen. I was already aware yesterday that there was going to be a rain, potential concern for Sunday's game between Chicago and the 49ers. Joshua said, sorry, I forgot to say my league is full PPR. Oh, okay, Josh, no problem. So as of right now, of the available options, let's see here. Where do we have? I think I'm still probably going with one of those two running backs because I'm not 100% fully bought in on Russell Gage or Tyler Lockett right now. Yeah, it's pretty much. I'm still running with Damian Harris. I value the touches and the goal line opportunities far more than what we could potentially get elsewhere there. Now, there's a chance that just purely off of receiving work, Michael Carter could be in that mix and could be a contending factor. But I just don't know how much he's going to split with Breece Hall. So for right now, I'd just rather play Damian. Someone in the chat asked Breece Hall or Stevenson. I'd play Stevenson. Let's see here. Ayuk or Cooper? Again, I'm fine with rolling Ayuk there. Irv Smith or Ertz? I'd rather play Ertz, like it says on screen. Miles says, raining hard in Chicago. Godwin in a full PPR or Ayuk? Let's do some research, shall we? Let me look at the rain and let's see how bad it is. So if I look up, let's look at this. I'm looking at it right now, okay? It's a pretty good amount of rain. Is it going to impede people from catching the ball? Dude, I'm looking at the rain right now. I'm thinking to myself, would this bother me enough to where I can't run a normal route? I don't think it's at that point yet, guys. It's definitely going to be a little bit more tricky. I'm looking at a couple clips of people running routes on the field. I think the only thing is making sure that Trey Lance has a dry ball when he's throwing it. That's purely the thing. So it says Soldier Field has been flooded 3 inches of rain on the field. I mean, I was just looking at the field and people were just doing stretches on the field. There didn't look like there was 3 inches of rain. They got draining systems over there. They're fully prepared for it. So again, listen, if you guys do not want to play your, Ayuk in the rain, don't do it. Okay? Don't listen to me. Purely, seriously, I'm not kidding. Because we are just going to have to agree to disagree. That's just the way it's going to have to go. I would like to play the players in the rain. And that may be stupid, but hey, if I have to learn the lesson the hard way, I've already learned that lesson 2 years ago. Buffalo Bills versus, I think it was Miami in Buffalo. I learned that lesson the hard way on that day, where it was literally hard rain, 20-mile-per-hour wind, and somebody still had 20 points as a receiver. I think it was Jamison Crowder or something dumb. No, actually, no, it wasn't Jamison Crowder. I think it may have been Cole Beasley. Somebody. I don't remember what it was. But it was a slot wide receiver. I've already kind of seen rain games sometimes affect people, sometimes it doesn't. At this point, I'm comfortable enough rolling with him. If you guys don't like it, please, by all means, avoid it so that you're not worried about it. You are the final decision maker of your roster. Go with what you feel is best. Let's see here. All the games should be in a dome. Listen, Clint, I 100% agree. Chicago should have a dome. They're already kind of making plans to build a new stadium with a dome. That should have already been done years ago. Chicago is just, it is what it is. Why is it raining in September, guys? What is that about? It was raining in California the other day. I was like, bro, it's 95 degrees outside and it's raining in California. Can you imagine that? It was horrible. Pretty much like Florida weather. Okay, Troy Arse sends in a question. Troy, where are we at here? Where's your question, my guy? Half PPR, Michael Pittman Jr. No, not Michael Pittman. Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Hollywood Brown, T. Higgins, David Montgomery sit 2. If I'm sitting 2 out of the bunch, I'm sitting Michael Thomas, and then I'm sitting David Montgomery. I'm playing Keenan Allen, I'm playing Hollywood Brown, and I'm playing T. Higgins. I'm playing all 3 receivers. Someone said week 1 Sammy Watkins, question mark. Week 1 Sammy Watkins has actually been a thing in his career. If you guys go look at his week 1 performances in the last couple of years, let me see this. How much time do we have? We have like 6 minutes. Let me see if I can do this quickly. Week 1. Let's go back to 2019. Week 1, 9 catches, 198, 3 touchdowns. Let's go to 2020. Week 1, 7 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. 2021, last year, 4 catches, 96 yards. Sammy Watkins is a week 1 monster. Now, there's a reason why I have him as my number 40 ranked wide receiver on the week is because he's actually kind of in the contention of maybe being a top 36 player. But he's off screen, but either way. Julio or Alec Pierce? I'd rather play Julio. James Robinson or Jerick McKinnon in Standard League? Ooh, good question. I think I'd probably rather play James Robinson. Drake London or Michael Carter? I'd rather play Michael Carter. Titans defense or Chargers? I'd rather play Titans. Mike Moment, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Mike. You suggesting the star system the other day in the comment section. Greatly appreciate that. Definitely helped the channel with a couple upgrades there. We will certainly be upgrading a lot of stuff, but I'll mention that after we're done answering questions for the next 6 minutes here nonstop. Here we go. Juju or Hunt, half PPR. I'd rather play Juju. Kareem Hunt or Devonta Smith. I'd rather play Kareem Hunt. Sit 1, Chubb, Connor, or Marquise Brown. Wow, I don't want to sit any of them. Let's play both running backs. Why is Michael Thomas so low? Because he didn't practice all week at a full capacity. He's still dealing with a hamstring injury. He could re-aggravate it. He could be limited to some capacity. If that's going to be the case, I don't want to be responsible for that. Absolutely destroying your lineup. Darnell Mooney saying in the rain or Chris Olave or Devontae Parker. I still like Darnell Mooney. Just joined. Thoughts on A-Rob. Don't overreact. He'll be perfectly fine. DJ Moore or Antonio Gibson. Depends what your scoring format is. Otherwise, I think I'm typically going with Gibson. Who do I stash? Mark Ingram or stash Mark Ingram over Jeff Wilson. Hooper or Ertz? I'd play Ertz this week. Damn, Florida just caught a stray. Nah, it's just the weather, man. That's the difference. Florida is like 99% humidity. It's the most disgusting weather of all time. I don't know how you guys live out there. It's just so bad. With someone who has a scarf for a face sweater, that weather doesn't feel great. Breece Hall or Kadarius Toney? Give me Toney. Sutton or Montgomery? Let's see here. Is Montgomery even play over Sutton in a full PPR? Because I think in a half I could technically get away with. Let's see here. Where the heck is Sutton on my list? Sutton and then Montgomery is there. And then what about a half PPR? Yeah, we're playing Sutton. That's my suggestion there in a full PPR. Thank you. Godwin or McLaurin? Play McLaurin. David Njoku instead of Zach Ertz. If you're worried about Zach Ertz, you could play Njoku. I think Njoku is right there next to him in the rankings for a reason on screen. So I'm confident enough to where the swap there is not a big deal in my opinion. So If you're worried about it, yeah, swap it. No problem. Should I start Trey Lance over Dak? If you're worried about it, play Dak. I think Dak has got a primetime game Sunday night. No weather concerns. You're good to go. I just have my rankings the way I do because this is the way I like to play fantasy football. Dylan or Brandon Cooks? Play Brandon Cooks. If Godwin is playing, do I start him over Amari Cooper? I have Amari Cooper ahead of him in my rankings. If you want to play Godwin tonight and kind of just test the limit, go for it. Brandon Cooks or Rashad Penny? I think I'm pretty sure I have Brandon Cooks ahead of him. Let's see. You're saying in a half PPR? Maybe it's not the case. I think I do, though, still. Brandon Cooks, where are you in the half PPR on my list? Brandon Cooks, and then we have, yeah, I have him ahead of Penny. Pierce or Tony, in a half PPR spot, Damian Pierce or Kadarius Toney. Probably going in a half PPR. I think I'm playing Damian Pierce there. Nick Chubb or AJ Brown. I play Nick Chubb. Full PPR. Penny, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, or Hunt. Jar. I would play Amon-Ra. Box of Juice and Shahir sent in donations. Thank you, Shahir. Reasoning for Chase Edmonds over AJ Dillon in a full PPR. He's going to get a lot of receiving work in comparison. Chase Edmonds specifically, because of what we saw with Myles Gaskin last year, we know Tua likes to throw the ball short and likes to dump it off to his running backs because of his lack of mobility. There's a reason why Myles Gaskin caught 40 passes last season. I'm expecting Chase Edmonds to be utilized in a very similar fashion this year. So he's going to get a lot of receiving upside on top of the fact that Dillon takes a little bit of a downtrot or downslide because his starting two right and left tackles are gone. They're not playing today. So when you have two of your starting offensive linemen gone, it doesn't make me as confident in terms of playing Edmonds. Box of Juice said, Ertz or Pat Freiermuth. Nice beard. Thank you, Box. I appreciate that. So here's the dealio. I'm perfectly fine playing Zach Ertz. Pat Freiermuth is just as good of an option. He's right next to him in the rankings. So if you're thinking, hey, there is a possibility in which we get a scenario where Pat Freiermuth is perfectly fine, scores 8 points, and then maybe we get Zach Ertz that gets the same points, but there's a higher chance of Zach Ertz getting injured and missing, the second half of the game, you play Pat Freiermuth. But ultimately, the reason why I have Ertz up there is because I think he has higher upside than all those other guys, and that's why I have him ranked. Max Williams is going to be the guy that gets those targets. I mean, Max Williams was still coming off the ACL. They still have the other rookie tight end that they just drafted, so there's other options there technically. Sutton or Jacobs full PPR, it's Sutton. Patterson or Pierce? I'd rather play Pierce. What else? I'm trying to answer as many as I can. McLaurin or ETN? If I'm not mistaken, I have... Where's McLaurin in my full PPR? ETN is there. McLaurin is just behind him. So I play ETN. It's time, fellas. Yeah, it's almost there. Michael Thomas or Darnell Mooney? I'm perfectly fine playing Darnell Mooney today. If you don't want to play the weather game contest, then play Michael Thomas and let's roll the dice there. Again, I'm perfectly comfortable with the weather game. I could be totally wrong, and I'm fine being wrong with that. That's just the confidence that I have in that regard. We'll see what happens by tomorrow. Hunt or Juju? Play Juju. Allen or Marquise Brown? Marquise Brown. Elijah Moore or Bateman? Play Elijah Moore. Breece Hall or Devonta Smith in a half PPR, or David Montgomery? David Montgomery, half PPR. That's what I'd play there. Judy or Damian Harris in a full? I play Judy. Michael Thomas, yeah, we did that. Time's up, guys. No, not almost. Kickoff's about to begin. Devonta Smith or Breece Hall? Yeah, I think we just answered that. I think it would go Devonta Smith, then Breece Hall, then, if David Montgomery's an option there, then you play David Montgomery. That's what I'm assuming what Demo is on that list. Okay, it's 10 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, supporting the channel. Thank you for all of you who sent in donations. Christian Kirk or Zeke in the flex? Play Christian Kirk there, Emerald. Tomorrow, we'll have waiver wire episode. What was that question? Jason says Aaron Jones for DJ. But we'll talk about that in a bit for Dynasty. Tomorrow morning, we'll talk about waivers. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, or Terry McLaurin in the flex. I'm fairly certain I have Terry McLaurin ahead of him. So that's where I go, KF Kicks. Tomorrow, we'll have waiver wires. We'll also have some trade targets on tomorrow's episode. We'll have different looking graphics to kind of get everybody on the same page in terms of having ranks on screen. They're not going to be on the screen the whole time, but I can assure you it is beautiful. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday. Let's go watch some football. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace. Scheme just asked a question. Said, hold up. I'm not leaving. Hold up. Wait. Scheme just asked Romeo Doubs, McKissick, or Julio Jones? Julio. Oh, yeah, I forgot. That trade question from Jason. Aaron Jones or DJ? I'm assuming that's Deontay Johnson and a first rounder. Aaron Jones for Deontay Johnson in a first round in a half PPR dynasty? Oh, my God. I plead the fifth.